Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined as ever by the vivid honey mustard. It is Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, good sir. How are you, my friend?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic, my brother. Rob has always called me ever since we came back from Japan, the
Great name.
Vivid Honey Mustard, because that is Suzumi's from Tokyo Joshi Pro, her nickname. And I was quick little side note here to start off the podcast. I was watching a match from Tokyo Joshi Pro back, I believe, in 2022, which is a tag match with Riho, AEW's Riho, teaming with Arisa Endo to take on the team of Suzumi and May Saruga. So would that make the team of May and Suzumi the honey mustard apple? Honey
Ooh,
mustard apples or something like that? Yeah.
It's an intriguing one. We'd have to put that out into the Stardom Cast universe, see if we can get some names for that tag team. But I reckon so. I mean, what a team that would be.
It was a great match too. I believe it was, obviously, Rob, I know you have Wrestle Universe as well as everybody should. I believe it was Summer Sun Princess 2022. It was a phenomenal match. So if you do have time, take a look at that. But brother, I'm doing great. We just talked off air a little bit how it was nice having a WWE PLE at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That was fantastic. Only 4 matches for the Royal Rumble. Their third biggest show of the year.
4.5 hours, apparently, the show for 4 wrestling matches. Admittedly, 2 were Rumbles, but even so.
Yeah, it was really weird. I was telling you that my parents came up because we usually do a week or 2 after Christmas. We always have them up for dinner. Obviously, this past year we were in Japan, and so they came up this Saturday. I'm like, oh, this is perfect because my dad is a strictly WWE guy. That's all that he watches, only watches WWE. So I was like, oh, Dad, look what. And he's like, now what app is this on? He's like, is this the Netflix? No. Is this Fox Sports? No. I was like, this is ESPN. He's like, how many things do you need to watch WWE?
It's ridiculous.
Like, yeah, it's quite a bit. But it was nice having him over watching the Rumble. Yeah, 4 matches, 4 hours. I didn't realize because Bobby, about halfway through the Drew McIntyre Sami Zayn match, me and him were drinking French toast beers, which were fantastic.
French toast beers, interesting. Okay,
8.6 proof, buddy. 8.6 proof. So I had 2 of those, and yeah, I was feeling fine. But no, weekend was good as always, buddies. How is everything in your neck of the woods?
I cannot complain. It's Tuesday. I've had a gin and lemonade. In the week, what am I? Some sort of party animal. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm ready for the Stardom Cast. I'm buzzing. I'm ready. Play football on Sunday, Matt, and I have no problem telling you that it is the worst game, not only of my career, but perhaps of anyone's career of all time. We had a party the night before for Kirsty's mum, which went without a hitch. We were hosting at our house and it went swimmingly. Like terrifyingly swimmingly. You know where it's going that well that you're just waiting for something to go wrong? It didn't. Everything went well. So I was like, brilliant. I hadn't realized how much food I'd eaten until I rocked up to the match the next day and physically could not move. Matt Turner, it was an absolute disgrace. It was pretty much like King Kong Bundy trying to catch a Zumi at points during this match. It was ridiculous. Flat-footed does not cut it. I was stood there basically pivoting on one foot, just going, I'm too full. I'm too full of food. And do you know what I did after the match? After we got thumped and it was pretty much my fault, I went out and had a steak.
Good for you, buddy. Now I have to ask, at this party that you had for Kirsty's mom, what was the food? Because now I need to know the layout, my friend. What was the food that handicapped you from going from A+ to, I guess, an A- performance?
Oh no, my friend. No, we're talking G levels of performance, potentially H. We're on the lower echelon of the alphabet with this performance. This is the blindfold match at WrestleMania 8. That's how bad this was.
7.
Sorry, WrestleMania 7.
And Undertaker's. And
of course,
Rick Martel wrestled Tatanka.
Oh yes, of course he did.
Because if you remember Bobby Heenan, I know now we're way off tilt. Bobby Heenan said to Gorilla Monsoon, "Did you greet Tatanka today?" And he's like, "Yeah, I said hi to him." He's like, "Would you greet him the right way?" I said hi to him. And Bobby Heenan goes, "No, you got to greet him by going, 'Hey, how are you?' Hey, how are
God,
you?" Bobby Heenan, the best. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so it was mainly sort of buffet food, But because I couldn't sit down, because I was like making sure that everyone had drinks, I was sort of like washing up halfway through and we'd run out of glasses, pouring wine, pouring beer, giving beers out, doing shots, taking, and no, I wasn't doing any of that.
Oh my
But
goodness. There's gonna go somewhere else. It got really hot in here.
the good times were flowing. No, it was I didn't realize I was picking and eating like sandwiches, and there was wraps and there was crisps and there was chicken goujons, which Kirsty bought far too many of, like 14 kilograms worth of chicken goujons. But then everyone had gone and Newcastle were on. They were the later kickoff, so I was like, I'm going to sit and watch this. Kirsty's mum and dad had stayed behind, and Kirsty's dad was like, "Shall we get some chips?" Fries for our American listeners. And I was like, do you know what? That is a tremendous decision. Yes, let's do that. Matt, the last chip passed my lips, and I was like, I am in trouble here. That was a huge mistake. Massive. Maybe I'll feel better in the morning. Oh, good Lord. Good Lord, I was giving birth. No, it wasn't a food baby. It was a food quadruplet. It was ridiculous, the size I was in the morning. But nevertheless, we live and we learn. We go again next week.
Do you think they should have put you on a goalie? Like, you think that would have been a little better?
I honestly think they should have put me on a different pitch just than the rest of the team.
You know what they should have did? They should have given you a jersey from the other team, and then that would have helped.
There you go.
Thinking outside the box, buddy.
It's the first time I came home after I'd gone for a beer. I came home, and it's the first time I've ever turned to Kirsty and said, I think I might be done. I think my legs are going, like, so positioning and stuff. Even that wasn't very good, I'll be perfectly honest, on Sunday. So yeah, we'll see how this Sunday goes. Probably not very well, but we'll see. So yeah, keep it here and I'll tell you how badly that goes.
Rob, quick. Yeah, I'm kind of just thinking at the top of my head, obviously, because my in-ring days are, few and far between. But I'm very big on the coaching.
Speak to yourself, Hall of Famer. Come on.
Yes, but I'm very big on coaching and helping, and I get a lot of people sending me matches to break down. Have you ever gotten to coaching, or is that something you think you would want to do, like when you physically can't do it anymore to the level that you would like? Because your mind is always still working, and you've been playing for so long that you've learned a lot. Is that something that you would ever, basically teach or corrupt the youth of the football world over there in England?
Well, when I taught primary school, I was sort of, partly because I was the only male member of staff that was interested in doing it, I sort of ended up coaching the football team, and we weren't very good. To say the least. We were only a small school anyway, so we didn't have the biggest talent pool to pick from. But we were fairly shambolic, and all I realized coaching did was make me angry, because I'm like, why are you not doing things the way that I wanted you to do them? I was a control freak, basically. So it was at a point where I'd be like, I wanted to pick up a child and put them in the right position, because at points they were just chasing the ball around the pitch, all of them like seagulls around chips. It was like, just stay in your positions, stop moving. So no is the short answer to that. I feel like I will be far, far too angry, far too impressionable. And to be perfectly honest, Matt, I already don't sleep with the amount that I do. So adding something more to that, probably not the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you can always give back, or like, once your playing days are done, you can occupy your time. But there's something that, in my, neck of the experience of the, the wisdom that I've been so lucky to have been able to bestow it upon me the last 25 years. I like to try to make the world of pro wrestling better. Speaking of making the world pro wrestling better, Rob, for this next 2 hours or so, let's talk about some fantastic pro wrestling and some amazing pro wrestling coming up this weekend, brother. Because I think that's why we're here.
I thought we were here to critique my performance, but fine. I suppose we could talk about Stardom. We are only here to talk about one show, obviously the Korakuen Hall show, the fourth Korakuen Hall show that Stardom have run in the month of January. We'll be breaking that down, talking about the results and everything coming out of that. We have, I know, got the New Blood shows this week. Obviously, the first one was today, New Blood 28, as we record on the 3rd of February. The next one is the 4th of February. We simply just didn't have time to watch them before the podcast, so we'll break those down next week. along with the pay-per-view Supreme Fight in Osaka, which is this Saturday, which is going to be great. So we've got a lot of news to come out of that. The full card has been announced. We've got those new blood cards. We've got Azumi seemingly wrestling absolutely everywhere. We've got a new challenger for the IWGP Women's Championship. We have got some updates on what the former Kagetsu, now Yu Ishino, what they are doing or what he is doing with his life nowadays. The main event has been announced for Tomoka Inaba and the Zusa Inaba's produce show later on this month. But before we get into any of that, Matt Turner, before we get into a Korakuen Hall show that was really quite interesting for a number of reasons, pray tell, what is coming up this week, good sir, on the World of Joshi Patreon?
Rob Goen, I've been saying for the last 2 weeks that I was going to go back to 2022 and do Marvelous versus Queen's Quest. I cannot find it. So if somebody can give me the date of that, I spent like 20, 30 minutes trying to find it.
Did you say 2022?
2020. I'm sorry, 2020.
I was just going to say it was 2020. That might be why you're struggling to find it.
Well, there's not that much on 2020 because like 6 months are missing because of COVID, obviously. So you're able to navigate the folders pretty well. But while I was searching for this match, Rob, I found another match that had Queen's Quest members of Momo Watanabe, Azumi, and Utami Hayashishita to take on the MK sisters of Mayu Iwatani, Starlight Kid, and former AEW Women's Champion Rio. So I landed on that. And I'm like, I'm going to do alternate commentary on that. And that is up on your feed. What a fantastic match that was. Again, Utami, Momo, Azumi versus Starlight Kid, Mayu Iwatani, and Rio. So that is the alternate commentary that is already on your Patreon feed. More than likely, I just have to record it, but more than likely this episode I'm about to talk about will be on your feed this weekend. Sayaka Kurora's win in last year's Cinderella tournament. The homework is done. I actually even added on her wish, which was the fantastic championship match she had with Saya Kamitani. So probably this weekend, my review of Sayaka Kurora's win in last year's Cinderella tournament, that'll be up on your feed as well. Now, Rob, as you and all of our fantastic listeners know, since we turned everything over under the new umbrella of the World of Joshi, we did tell you there's going to be some bonus stuff, not only on the Talk Joshi podcast, but as well as the World of Joshi Patreon. So myself and Andy Header, we've been doing these watch-alongs. Some of them are going to be on the free feed on Talk Joshi. Some of them are going to be on the Patreon feed. Myself and Andy Header are set to record tomorrow this episode, this watch-along that is going to be available for your on the Patreon feed. Now, I messaged one Andy Zyke of the Tokyo Joshi Pod. I said, this is what we're doing. Would you give us a match to watch? Now, on the free feed coming up this week on Talk Joshi, you are going to be getting the basically the not the alternate comment, the watch along of Miyu Watanabe and Miyu Yamashita taking on the team of Shoko Nakajima and Meiko Satomura. That is on the free feed. The first one is free. So I messaged Andy Zyke. I told him what we're doing. I said, you get to pick the match. And as soon as I hit send, I was like, I know what he's going to say. I'm already regretting it. So
I know what he's going to say as well. That's just dawned on me.
Do you want to take a? Do you know what match that he picked for me to do that's going to be on your Patreon feed this weekend?
Is it going to be one of the Shoko Nakajima versus Hyper Misao matches?
I wish it's going to be. It's going to be the Tokyo Joshi Pro roster wrestling on a train that happened back in the summer. He championed it on the podcast. He talks to me all the time about it. And me and Heather were texting back and forth on Sunday. And I said, yeah, I said, this is what we'll do. I said, free feed. It'll probably might even be out by the time you listen to this. It's basically the two Miyus, Miyu Watanabe and Miyu Yamashita to taking on, again, Shoko Nakajima and Meiko Satomura. And again, just to watch along, audio only, that's free. So right before I hit send, I was like, I know what he's going to say. I hit send and he said, this is what you should do. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what we're going to do. So if you folks want to hear me and Andy Header talk about wrestling on a train, that is going to be on your Patreon feed, as well as all the vast majority of the amazing stuff, past, present, and future. So, Rob, I will let you know probably around this time tomorrow if me and Andy Zyke are still friends. So.
Love Andy Zyke. Big up, brother. So, yeah, there's a couple of different things that we're going to talk about. But first, and before we get into the news, we have been called out, and rightly so, by friend of the show, Darren Chatton. Now, whilst we were doing either the Marigold End of Year Awards or the Stardom End of Year Awards, can't remember exactly which one it was that we were doing, he rightly commented on the podcast and said, you need to make up your mind because sometimes you say Io is the greatest to do it, and sometimes you say Mayu is the best one to do it. You need to make up your minds. And do you know what? That damn lad is right. So, right here, right now, Matt, I would like you to make a decision. I will make a decision as well. Who is the best to do it? Io or Mayu? This could be a Patreon episode, to be fair. However, we're going to have that discussion before we get into the news today.
You know
just for
what?
you, Darren Chatton.
You know what? Long form, maybe after WrestleMania, we should do a Patreon episode. Me, you, and one Andy Header. But short term, Mayu. You, buddy? I'm going with Mayu. In ring, Mayu.
More than Io.
Yeah. You take a look at Io's having some great matches. But if you take Io's body of work from 2018 until now versus Mayu's, and Io's doing great, but look at everything that Mayu has done from 2018 until today and put it up against Io. How many and again, Io's having great stuff. Obviously, Mayu's working with better wrestlers. Obviously, Momo Watanabe, Utami Hayashishita, Takumi Roha, Tam Nakano, Starlight Kid, Julia. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, what you doing now? Come on, Manami. I can't wait to talk to you about that match on the Marigold Standard later this week, partner. I mean, just the great stuff that Mayu has done from 2018 until now compared to what Io has done from 2018 till now. It's the list. And again, it's subjective. The list, Mayu is just way better than Io. So I'm going to say Mayu.
I'm going to say Mayu. I am slightly biased. I think Io is tremendous. And I think in terms of a worldwide sort of influence, obviously the answer is Io. It has to be Io. Like,
Sure.
Look what she's done internationally. Of course, it's Io. From a personal standpoint, I've said before that Mayu is the reason I got into Stardom. Mayu is the reason that I got into, Joshi Pro Wrestling, all of those things. And whether it's because I've watched Mayu more closely over the last 5-6 years, or whether it's just because her style resonates more with me, I don't know. But for me, it is Mayu Iwatani. And I know that's, again, potentially a controversial thing to say, just because of how good Io is and all of the stuff that Io did alongside Mayu and Kairi to really drag Stardom out of the doldrums in 2015, 2016 after the Yoshiko incident. I think there is certainly an argument to be made. And again, they are 1A and 1B.
Sure.
And, Io is easily the best wrestler in WWE. I know that there is currently sort of a debate on social media about whether Io is the best in WWE. For me, she absolutely is. But again, I might be biased. In terms of a comparison with Mayu, for all the reasons I've outlined, and perhaps, again, we'll go into long form after WrestleMania once we see what Io's doing in Las Vegas. It's Mayu for me. So if we ever change that, again, wrestling is subjective and we are allowed to change our opinions, of course, but it is Mayu. You're absolutely right. And yeah, again, if you said Io, absolutely, that's fine. Again, I can't disagree with you. Again, it's 1A and 1B, but for me, it is Mayu. I don't think there's much in it by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and I know some people might be saying, well, Rob's biased because Mayu is Rob's favorite wrestler. Io is 100%. My favorite female wrestler of all time and one of my favorite wrestlers going today. So I'm on the Io train. I like Io better. But if you're asking me who's a better in-ring wrestler, it's Mayu. Again, let's find, that's a great, and thanks.
I was going to say, let's fight.
No, let's find out. No, I'm agreeing with you.
Jesus.
No, Jesus, no. It's Mayu and Io, not Jesus. Although they might be wrestling Jesus. Anywho, no, that might be a good roundtable discussion that we might have maybe the next 5 or 6 months. Who's better between Mayu and Io? And again, it's subjective. There's no wrong answer. So I will continue to say Io and Mayu on the same episode of The Greatest to Ever Do It, just to stir the pot, buddy. Just to stir the pot, You can call me the Jim Halpert of the Office Stardom.
Love it. Let's move on. Let's get into some news then, and something coming out today. Obviously, we know from the Cure Insurance Arena that New Japan are going to be running the New Beginning USA show in New Jersey on the 28th, pardon me, of February. It is going to be a New Japan World pay-per-view, which I think we all thought it would be. I think it's $19.99. The reason we bring this up is that Syuri has been announced for that show. Obviously, both the IWGP Women's and New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She has officially been challenged for the IWGP Women's Championship. I will just hasten to add, hasn't been officially confirmed yet because where's the match graphic? However, it is none other than the Ring of Honor Forever Champion, Athena. Now, obviously, I know that there are some people who wish it would be, two Stardom wrestlers coming over to wrestle in the States, and that would be great. However, in terms of Syuri coming over and wrestling someone from the States, I can't think of a better matchup. This really is a dream match. It's, when we had Athena come over at the start of last year and have those handful of matches, Athena versus Syuri is one that I was desperate to see. I was really excited about seeing that. Obviously, we didn't get it there. We are getting it here in New Jersey, which is incredibly exciting. Just quickly, two more matches that have been announced, and have been announced for a while, to be fair. El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita for the New Japan World Television title, and Tomohiro Ishii versus Bolton Oleg for the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship, which is apparently still a thing. There you go. But Matt, very, very, very exciting match for the IWGP Women's Championship.
Yeah, if you remember during a Supercard of Honor in the summer of last year, they did some vignettes of with Syuri. She's coming over for Ring of Honor and AEW, and then she wrestled in the Rumble. And I think that was pretty much about it. But as soon as they
I don't think
showed
she did anything else.
I don't think so. No, because she had the injury and then she came back, and I think
Yeah.
they wanted to put the IWGP Joshi back on her. And fine with me, obviously. Syuri's fantastic. But I know as soon as those vignettes aired, everybody was like, Syuri versus Athena, Syuri versus Athena. We got to get Syuri versus Athena. Now we're getting it. We had to wait a little bit longer. Now we're getting it. More than likely, it's going to be for probably the IWGP Women's Championship. I don't think for the Strong. I know that they teased something with Micah and they teased something with Hazuki, obviously, and we were kind of hoping we'd get one of those two matches. We love Micah, we love Hazuki, but this Athena match, it's kind of a dream match. It really is. You have the American Joshi versus one of the hardest, not one of the hardest hitting Joshi over the last 4 or 5 years in Syuri. In New Jersey for a New Japan show. This is super exciting. I'm 90% sure I'm going to be there for this show because it's only about an hour and change away from my house. So more than likely, I will be there live to cover it for the podcast. But I'm super excited for it. I mean, this is something that the fans have been clamoring about since the summer, and it kind of got cooled off a little bit. And here it is right here, my friends. So yeah, Syuri versus Athena for more than likely one of the, if not both of the IWGP Women's Championships. Super excited for this one. What a great way to close out the end of February.
Yeah, it's one of the, you mentioned Hazuki and Micah, and obviously they are matches that we would love to see. And the chances are they did set something for Syuri and Micah and Hazuki. I imagine that we will see them on New Japan shows in Japan. I imagine that's probably what they're doing. We did see Stardom participation on Wrestling Dontaku last year, which was obviously in Fukuoka. I wonder if we will see Micah versus Syuri there potentially on one night. They do tend to double up on Wrestling Dontaku and do 2 nights, so potentially doing that on one night might be what they're thinking. I don't know. It's going to be a great match either way. Obviously, Yota Tsuji will be there as well, defending the I believe the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. I believe he'll be defending there. Moving on, then, we have a full card for the Supreme Fight pay-per-view in Edion Arena on February 7th. Obviously, Stardom held a press conference on the 27th of January where they announced all of the big marquee matches, all of the title matches. We now have another 3 matches confirmed that has rounded out a full 10-match card. Those matches that have been announced, we have got a five-way match. Lady C, who of course missed Korakuen through illness, she will be back, is taking on Momokogo, Asuza Inaba, Kyoko Katatsu, and Yuna Mizumori. We have a six-woman tag, the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Hina, and Ron Yagami versus Ankanai, Sayaka, Kurora, and Kikyo Furusawa. And then we have a four-way tag team match. And I tell you what, there are some teams in this. Stars representatives Uriah Himi and Saida versus Syuri Ano, and Natsupoi. O2 line, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. And then Hazuki and a mystery opponent. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube and can see the match graphic, or indeed have seen the match graphic on social media, it is a complete mystery who Hazuki's mystery opponent is. There is absolutely no way whatsoever that the silhouette gives anything away at all about who Hazuki's mystery partner is. Death.
It's pretty apparent, right?
Honestly, they haven't even tried. They have not even tried, and I love that is the equivalent of Noah doing all the posters and saying it's a mystery opponent. Who's going to be Bushi's mystery partner? But with the outline of Naito doing the Naito pose.
Yeah, I think maybe the only reason why they didn't officially announce it was Fukigen Death. Maybe for one or two reasons. One, like Fukigen Death is in the one faction that's 100% heel. And everybody else is like either tweener or babyface. Or two, they're holding off to see if Kagama's going to be fit. We still don't know why she's out for injury. So there's a possibility that FWC is adding this match, like FWC proper. That would be amazing and be kind of the middle of the card show stealer. But at the same time, if we get Fukigen Death in this, I mean, look at all the former high-speed champions you're having in this. Like Hazuki, Fukigen Death, Azumi, Natsupoi. Saida's competed for that title before. Miyu Amasaki, she's fantastic. I wonder what gear she's going to show up in. Is it going to be opposite day, So with her. But this is really interesting because I like it that when they do these big tag matches on the pay-per-views, they usually don't get a whole ton of time just because that's going to be dedicated to your Wonder match and your World match. So this will probably be like an 8-9 minute blink and you'll miss it. But this is great because all of these teams fit that style perfectly. So I'm really, this whole card, I can't wait to preview and do the predictions with you at the end of the show, partner. But I'm really excited for it. But this one, when this one was announced, I was like, this one can really be a good 9-10 minute, match where it's just going to be boom, 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 double team, set up some certain things, maybe tease a little more in Azumi and a Hazuki, because we'll get into that. We talk about Korakuen. Is that a way that they're going? Maybe we'll do some O2 line versus Soripoi stuff, build up towards that. But yeah, I'm really excited for this whole pay-per-view, but especially this match, kind of in the middle of this show. I think it's going to be a really, really fun match.
Now, obviously, the big question is which of the faces of Kaori Oniyama turns up, because, of course, your mind automatically goes to Fukigen Death, who is her usual guys. However, this is in Osaka. And, of course, that might mean, and I'll be perfectly honest, if I was a betting man, I would be leaning towards this. Maybe we see the return of Billiken Death. After all, the Billiken, unofficial mascot of Osaka. Maybe that's where we're going with this. In fact, I'd be very, very surprised if that's not where we're going, to be perfectly honest.
That's probably why they didn't reveal Fukigen Death. It's Billiken Death. Good call, buddy. Good call. We'll be waiting at fainted breath at like 3 a.m. or whenever this show starts on Saturday morning. I am so excited for this show, and this will be a fun one. This will be a fun one, no doubt.
Just to quickly remind you, the full card for Supreme Fight is as follows. The World of Stardom Championship match, Saya Kamitani versus Starlight Kid. Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Konami versus Amisori. Goddesses of Stardom Championship match, BMI 2000, Natsuko Tora and Ruaka taking on the Stars team of Hannon and B. Priestley. 5-on-4 elimination unit battle. Mividia Loka, Suzu Suzuki, Rina Yamashita, Suki Aoki, and Akira Gorgane will be taking on EXV, Maika, Hanago, Wax Tsukiyama, Xena, and Rian. Series of singles matches, Saki Kashima versus Syuri, Aya Sakura versus Maki Ito, Rina versus Fua Chan, and then those 3 matches that have been announced as well. So a 10-match card. Unless I'm very much mistaken, no Mei Seira on this card. So I don't know if she is just being rested for this pay-per-view, which is possible. But there we are. I think it would surprise me if she's not on this card somewhere, but I can't think who else isn't on this card. Again, if they're not just resting her, I think they probably would have put her in the opener and made it a six-way. But again, I assume potentially just resting.
Either that or she shows up dressed up as Fuki in Death.
Oh,
Oh man,
imagine.
the possibilities are endless, let alone the match is gonna be really good. I mean, look who's in there. I mean, jeepers.
I mean, this could very well be an unofficial number one contention match for the Goddesses of Stardom Championships. Although I've got an inkling as to where we might be going with that. I think we might see a challenge after this match, and we'll be talking about that in the Korakuen Hall show. So there we are.
Ooh.
Moving on then, guys, we have got the two cards for New Blood coming up on the 3rd and the 4th of February in Tokyo Square, Itabashi. New Blood 28 has happened today. I'm not going to run through all the results simply because we haven't had a chance to watch it yet. We don't want to ruin it for you. What I will say is it was main evented by a New Blood Tag Team Championship match, the first New Blood Tag Team Championship defense of Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, with them taking on Yuna Mizumori and Ann Kanai. I'm not going to give you the results because, again, I'd like you to watch it unspoiled. I don't want you to be spoiled by us. Other matches on that card: Hina versus Kikyo Furusawa, Uriah Hime versus Kyoka Katatsu versus Azusa Inaba. We've then got Ron Yagami and Tomoka Inaba versus, and I need to get these names right, they're the sisters from Hot Shushu, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Masahiro and Moe Hero. And I believe it's Moe is just 14 years old, which is absolutely wild.
Just to interrupt you just a second. I watched the majority of this show earlier today, and I didn't know, like, oh, Rana and Tomoka, okay, they're wrestling two people I've never heard of before, which is why I like New Blood, because you watch new talent. This, you said she was 14. She didn't look anything older than 11. You remember like Debut Azumi? Remember Debut Azumi?
I remember Debut Azumi.
Debut Azumi looks older than this girl. And I was like, so they get to a point where, and this is really not spoiling the match, they get to a point where this young lady, you said she's 14 again. I don't think she looks anything older than 11. They get to a point where it's Tomoka and this young lady, and Tomoka's toying with her. Not young lady, young girl. And she snaps her over and she goes for that snap kick. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like this girl weighs as much as my cat. Like I was like, oh my God, thank God this young girl got out of the way of the Tomoka kick, because I was scared to wait till you see how small she is. But she does some great pinning combination towards the end of this match where like we may have another Azumi on our hands, Rob. I mean, wait till you see it. It's like, oh, well, all right.
Well, Hot Shushu is going to come up a little bit later on as well. Hot Shushu, by the way, the sister promotion of Ice Ribbon. And again, we had sort of Masay and Moe, the two sisters. They had begged Starlight Kids to allow them to wrestle in Stardom on the New Blood shows. They did take part on New Blood 28. They will also be on New Blood 29 as well. Just the final match I want to talk about, the final couple of matches I want to talk about that happened today at New Blood 28. Hanako and Rian took on Nanami Hitano and Miran from Diana. We also had Xena versus Akira Kuragane. In terms of tomorrow, on Wednesday the 4th, we've got New Blood 29, same venue, Tokyo Square in Itabashi. Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora versus Moe and Masahiro. We have got Hina and Kyoka Katatsu versus Azusa Inaba and Kikyo Furusawa. Xena versus Rian. We've then got a 6-woman tag match: Tomoka Inaba, Rani Yagami, and Nanami Hitano versus Uriah Hime, Ann Kanai, and Miran. Hanako versus Akira Kuragane is your main event. So I think you said, Matt, that they are very New Blood cards in the best way possible. And again, there is a strong highlighting here of youth and young wrestlers in their careers, because arguably the most experienced. I mean, apart from Hina, who's been wrestling a deceptively long time, you've got Xena on there, and legitimately that's about it in terms of real experience.
I mean, again, I haven't seen the main event, which I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, you got Yuna and Kanai, and obviously, I've been championing Aya and Sayaka for the better part of 6 months. It was a solid, fun show. It was a solid, fun show. It's nice seeing Xena in a singles match because usually she's in multi tag ever since coming back from injury. So, really fun. You will like Manami looks really, or Nanami, excuse me, looked really, really good in that tag match. And again, who that young 11, 12, as you said, 14-year-old girl. Her exchanges with Tomoka Inaba were frightening. It's like, Tomoka will take it easy on her. I'm like, oh no. Tomoka's like, you're in the ring, the bell rang. I'm treating you like Micah. It's scary, but she winds up okay, Rob. I'm going to give you the ending of the horror movie. Yes, I just want to let you know to soften the blow. This poor girl walked out okay. Because, yeah, you'll understand what I'm talking about when you're watching. You're like, no.
But very, very exciting. And again, Hot Shushu will come up again in a moment. Before we do that, Azumi will be coming to the UK, as I know myself and a couple of other people, Andy, Mike as well, will be going down to see this. Azumi will be wrestling for Pro Wrestling Eve, only her third ever UK appearance for Eve's Wrestle Queendom 8, which will be taking place at the Indigo at O2 on Sunday, March 8th. This was announced actually just in the new year, so right at the start of January. However, her opponent has been revealed. It's going to be former Eve champion Sapphire Reed, and this is going to be a blistering encounter. I cannot wait for this match. This is going to be excellent. Also confirmed for this show, we've got Miyu Yamashita, Dash Chisako, AW Women's Tag Team Champions, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale. They're both confirmed for this show as well. Now, if you're on the fence, by the way, of coming down to London, if you are in the UK, to watch Wrestle Queendom, which, again, Chris Statlander versus Dakota Kai, or Charlie, as she is now going by, has also been confirmed for this show. On the Friday, because Eve are making a weekend of it, on the Friday at Woman Behaving Badly, you have got Jamie Hayter versus Miyu Yamashita. And announced yesterday, Anita Vaughn versus Dash Chisako. So, again, come down, make a weekend of it. This is going to be fantastic, and I cannot wait to see this match.
Yeah, the Miyu Yamashita versus Jamie Hayter has really piqued my interest. So I know Rob's going to call me a slacker. Unfortunately, I will not be making the flight over to England to hang out with Rob.
What the hell is the point in even doing this podcast, Matt?
And watch Jamie Hayter versus Miyu Yamashita. So that is going to be a really fun one. I know you can watch these shows, I believe, if you subscribe to their YouTube subscription. Yeah. I think it's like $9 for the month. So I will more than likely shell out the $9 for these two shows. Well worth the money. So I don't know anything about Sapphire Reed, Rob, but you have you seen her wrestle before?
I've seen her wrestle a couple of times. She's really good. I'm by no means a Sapphire Reed aficionado. I know friend of the show, Andy Hodgson, knows far more about her than I do, but I am very, very excited to see this. And again, it's Azumi in the ring. You know, Sapphire Reed is a more than worthy opponent, but Azumi, again, could make anyone look good. I'm very, very excited for this, in case you couldn't tell.
You're going to both shows Friday and Sunday, buddy?
I am indeed going to both shows, yes. So
live reporting coming up the week after, folks. So another reason to listen to the Stardom Cast each and every week. There you go.
It depends how many bevies I've had, because there might not be a lot of live reporting happening if I can't remember what happened. But
you can just make it up. You can be like, this is what no, I was there live. I was there.
There you go. There you go. Don't you take any notice of the photos or the video. I was there, and Azumi wrestled an elephant. Okay. That is what I'm telling you actually happened. Moving on then, as I mentioned before, Starlight Kid had a meeting with Moe and Masahiro of Hot Shushu, which again is Ice Ribbon's sister promotion. They opened their doors in May of 2023. They are running their first ever Korakuen Hall show on the 28th of March. And wouldn't you know it, they're bringing some Neo Genesis friends, and it'll be on that card Starlight Kid and Azumi taking on Moe and Masahiro, which is very, very, very exciting, Matt. And I'm looking forward to checking that out. Now, I know absolutely nothing of Hot Shushu before the interactions leading up to New Blood, and I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about Hot Shushu apart from what I've gleaned from research, and that is that A, their Ice Ribbon sister promotion, B, they've been going since May 2023, and C, Korakuen Hall is their first Korakuen Hall event.
Yeah, this is gonna be really cool because I mean, again, this young lady that again, young child, as I said before, she's wrestling at a very young age, and you know who else has been wrestling since they were very young? Both Azumi and Starlight Kid. So you know, before, during, and after the match, that Azumi and Starlight Kid, two of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling, not just Joshi, not just Japan. Azumi and Starlight Kid are two of the best wrestlers currently going in pro wrestling right now. They can give some wisdom about, you know, in between school and doing this and doing that, something that they did to get to their part of their respective careers right now. And still, obviously, Azumi and Starlight Kid are still very young. So it's gonna be really cool for them to have this match with the two sisters. And again, in Korakuen Hall, a really interesting thing. It's always great to see Starbomb mixing it up with any talent. Like when you get to see Azumi and Starlight Kid team up, just the two of them, they're really a really special team, Rob. So this will be something really interesting to see. You know, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to throw it out there, put you in the hot seat. How does one watch this show live? Is this going to be on a Wrestle Universe, New Japan World, the old WWE Network? How is one that, you know, WWE on AOL? How does one watch this show, Rob?
Yeah, it's actually going to be on Saturday. No, I have no idea, mate. I can't even make anything up. I've got no idea how you would view this. I imagine that something will come out on how to watch this, but currently, absolutely no idea, unfortunately. We move then to the Inaba sisters, Azusa Inaba and Tomoka Inaba, who are running their own produce show on the 23rd of February. That's going to be in their hometown of Toyokawa in Aichi. And it was announced before that they would be in the main event as a tag team for the first time in nearly 2 years. Their opponents have now been confirmed. They will be teaming against Syuri and Mayumi Ozaki. Now, I am very excited about this, Matt, because this, again, we saw little snippets of Tomoka Inaba versus Syuri during that tag match, but it was mainly Tomoka and Natsupoi and Syuri and Hina. This, I think, is going to be a very good melding of style. I mean, it helps that Syuri is like an incredible wrestler, someone incredibly underrated. And Mayumi Ozaki, Joshi legend, that's going to be really exciting as well. And good for Tomoka and Azusa for putting on this produce show. If you follow the Inaba sisters on social media, you'll see the relentless amount of promotion that they are doing for this show. And I know Tomoka has put out on Instagram that she's quite nervous about this show, so I'm sure it'll go well, and I'm very much looking forward to this match, Matt.
Yeah, really cool seeing them team together because, as you said, it's been the first time in 2 years, and obviously Tomoka and Azusa, as good as they were then, they're much better now, and they're across the ring, and a legend like Ozaki and Soriano, one of the best wrestlers in Stardom going right now. So that's going to be a really fun tag match, really interesting, and I really can't wait to watch it and review it with you, my friend, when we are able to watch said show. And again, it's really cool seeing, you know, Tomoka and Azusa. They're putting on their own show, considering Tomoka's like 20 and Azusa's like 17 or 8. I think Azusa just turned 18. So the fact they're both so young, we're like, yeah, not only are we going to be great wrestlers, we're going to be promoters as well. So good luck, because promotion is a really tough thing to do. But when you have a main event, when you're across the ring, like across the ring against a hardcore legend like Ozaki, and across the ring from against Soriano, who just seems to be like the perfect wrestler, it's going to go well and it's going to move some tickets. So, yeah, good on them. Interesting to see what the rest of the card is going to shape out to be. But if it's anything like this main event, us Joshi Puro fans are definitely in for a treat.
Yeah, and obviously it's worth pointing out as well that Azusa has recently put out that she will be taking international bookings as well. So we might be seeing a lot more of Azusa Inabe in the United States and hopefully in the UK as well. So that's really, really exciting as well. Moving on then to talk about even more Azumi wrestling in other places. Now, the team of Neo Genesis, Meisera and Azumi, they are going to be wrestling against Itsuki Aoki and Kikero Sakaguchi on March the 21st on a freelance show, which is called Goen no Kuni Shimane Pro Wrestling Matsuda 2026 in Masuda in Shimane. Just wanted to bring that up, Matt, simply because it's going to be a great match. And yet more in sort of Azumi traveling around. She seems to be being announced for everything at the moment. I was half expecting her to turn up in the Women's Rumble, but no, unfortunately not. Just Brie Bella.
I was ready to say we were supposed to get her, but she couldn't make the flight, so Brie Bella took her place. Again, it's Azumi. Is she wrestling for Stardom? I mean, yeah, she is, because we didn't announce she's going to be on the pay-per-view this weekend. Teaming with Starlight Kid. It's crazy because she's teaming with Starlight Kid. She's teaming with May Sarah. She's teaming with Miyu on the pay-per-view, her normal tag partner. So Azumi making the rounds. Ultimately, what's it going to do? It's just going to help Azumi out, get in front of different audiences, more eyes. They're going to be more intrigued with Azumi, that are going to be impressed with Azumi, because how can you not? Again, one of the most talented wrestlers in all of pro wrestling. May Sarah, she's fantastic as well. So ultimately, this just helps everybody out. It's going to help Stardom out. It's going to help Azumi out. It's going to help May Sarah out. It's going to help these promotions out that they're working with, because they're going to draw tickets and sell YouTube subscriptions and pay-per-views and all that other stuff. So again, we're just seeing these barriers, these forbidden doors, for lack of a better term, kind of be taken off the hinges, and it's just helping everybody out in the world of professional wrestling. And ultimately, Rob, I say it all the time, who's the ultimate winners? Us, the fans. So good on Azumi getting out there to each and every wrestling promotion already this year, and considering we're only 4 weeks in.
Just want to briefly touch on the latest Unagi Sayaka produce show, which she ran in Korakuen Hall at the start of February. 1,200 people, nearly 1,300 people, by the way, in Korakuen Hall for this show. Excellent stuff for Unagi. Obviously, one of the matches that she was a part of, she did lose to Stardom's Maki Ito in just over 10 minutes. Also lost by a referee's decision to Aja Kong in the main event as well. So wrestled a number of times. A couple of reasons I wanted to bring up this show. Firstly, we had a surprise in the form of Saya Kamitani wrestling with Natsuko Tora. Oh no, wait, checks notes. Shin Saya Kamitani. Have you seen the footage of Shin Saya Kamitani and Saya Kamitani's reaction to this?
I was gonna say, wait, I don't remember Sai being on this. I remember Shin. Yes. I don't. She should have attempted the Phoenix Splash, because we haven't seen.
I think she tried.
Oh,
she tried, and they dumped her off.
Real quick, Rob, what's your favorite Shin cosplay? Just off the top of your head.
The one that immediately jumps out to me is Chihiro Hashimoto. I thought that was hilarious.
That's a good, the Mako Satomura one.
The Mako Satomura,
because she was in the ring with Mako, and you're like, Mako's gonna kill her. Mako broke. Like Mako broke, like how like Booker T got the Undertaker to break. Like that's like it's like, oh my god, she's gonna die. Mako just broke. But the Shin is very, again, she's not Dean Malenko from '96 by any stretch of the imagination. No. But she's somebody you remember, because it's like the little bit that she's in the ring, it's funny and it's entertaining. The fact that she's cosplayed for the first time as Saya Kamitani on this show, maybe that's why they did 1,200 tickets, buddy. That's why I'm going to hang my hat on.
I'm assuming that Saya Kamitani is just playing on her Switch 2, because apparently that's all she did while she was on this paid leave. She bought a Switch 2 and has just been gaming the entire time, according to her social media. So there you are. The other reason I wanted to bring this up is because Unagi then brought up that she wanted to bring Tam Nakano out of retirement. Obviously, it's been 9 months since Tam retired. Surely not, Matt. Surely Tam hasn't been on social media. We've not seen her. She hasn't cropped up in Stardom. Obviously, she won something at the Stardom Awards show, which was lovely. Surely she doesn't break her own retirement to come out for an Unagi singles match on a produce show. Does she?
I'm gonna say stranger things have happened, and I'm trying to think, not in recent memory. I mean,
stranger things have happened. I just not none of them are going to my mind at the moment.
no, that Shin dressing up as Kamitani. Maybe.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the stranger thing will happen that Maki Ito loses this week, and then she leaves Stardom forever after all that fanfare. Again, we'll get to that.
God, I genuinely would absolutely crease if that happens. I really would.
Interesting, because again, Tam's name has come up quite a bit. Like, was she going to show up at Sumo Hall? You know, the a year to the date after Kamatani won the red belt, and she didn't after that the great Sai versus Soriano match. Like, her name's been mentioned quite a bit, and quite a bit in the Stardom Cast Awards, Rob, just as almost as prominent as the Stardom Awards. And not like she never went to social media and like to a post to thank and or a video, like nothing. Not only retired, but like not seen, not heard from, nothing like that. So it is going to be interesting. I don't think if he shows up, if Tam returns for anything, I'm not going to say for wrestling. If she returns for a special appearance or wrestling, it's going to be the Tokyo Dome show.
I genuinely thought you were going to say a Meltier reunion then.
Oh,
I was expecting it, and I was like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it.
Nah, you put it in my head. It's going to be the Meltier at the Tokyo Dome.
People bloody facilitating you. You people are not helping the situation. Stop facilitating him.
You're the one that said it. So you blame yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you point the finger at you. I wasn't even thinking of that, but maybe it's a double Meltier concert with the Tokyo Dome. But again, if Tam comes out or she shows her face for anything, it's going to be eventually once Stardom runs the Tokyo Dome, which again, we talked about before. They keep mentioning it. Where's smoke, there's fire. We do think probably in the next year or two, it's going to happen there. But for the Unagi thing, probably not. But again, stranger things have happened. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned.
Just want to finish off with a nice little story, a little update on what is happening with former Stardom wrestler Kagetsu, who, of course, is now known as Yu Ishino, because he has become a police officer. Of all things, which I thought was brilliant for a start. And this is all courtesy of Mira Wrestling on Twitter. Apparently, Meiko Satomura has sort of gone on Twitter and bigged this up as well. He joined Sendai Girls after graduating junior high. Satomura said, after retiring from pro wrestling, he cleared his high school equivalency exams, worked various jobs, and then attended the police academy. He's a person of great effort, and I'm rooting for you, which is awesome. Apparently, this happened January 30th, and Ishino was one of 28 recruits to graduate from the Tokushima Prefectural Police Academy after completing 10 months of rigorous training. And he's gone on to say, every single day I spent here has become a truly great memory. And again, all of that is courtesy from of Mira Wrestling on Twitter. It's really great for you, Ishino. I'm so happy for him that he's found his calling after pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is not the be all and end all, and I'm really happy. It's a really nice story, and it genuinely made me smile. And if you watch, again, Mira Wrestling, it's his top tweet at the moment. You can watch the sort of news article, and you can watch the video, and the sense of pride that Yu Ishino has got on his face throughout this is truly awesome. It really, really is. Now, the irony of someone joining the police force, having hung a person in a wrestling show, was not lost on me. Having been the leader of a group who hilariously broke the rules at every single possible opportunity, becoming a police officer, again, ironic. All the best wishes in the world for Yu Ishino. Extremely happy for him, Matt.
Redemption, Rob. That's where I'm taught every day. I'm not going to get on that preachy thing. That's what I'm taught every Sunday at church is redemption and forgiveness. And keep in mind, when he was Kagetsu, did come out with size too that could have pierced an individual.
That's true.
In all honesty, good for him. I just love seeing people happy, whether it's in wrestling, out of wrestling. The world can be a cruel place at times. It also can be a beautiful place at times, as long as you're looking and working for, the silver lining and the beauty in it. And this is just a beautiful thing. Really, really great to see, my friend.
And with that, we'll move on to our show reviews. All of the news, www.worldofjoshi.com. But we move on to our one show review we are talking about today. And as I mentioned, it is night 4 at Korakuen Hall for Stardom New Year Stars 2026 in Korakuen Hall from the 31st of January 2026. A couple of things I just want to note before we get into the results. First thing, just prior to the match, I did mention this earlier, just prior to the match, it was announced that Lady C would be missing this show due to illness. She was due to have a singles match with Syuri. Lady C was replaced with Kikyo Furusawa, which I'm sure really, really impressed Syuri after Syuri had sat backstage and bemoaned the fact that she was being fed people at the bottom of the card. But we will be talking about that because it was a great performance from Kikyo Furusawa in the face of a very, very angry Syuri. She certainly reacted to it better than I would have done, Matt. A couple of things on the attendance then. So the announced attendance inside Korakuen Hall in Tokyo was 1,332. Now, that's impressive for a number of reasons. Now, I know that it was a 10% decrease on the previous Korakuen Hall event, which, if you remember, was 1,480 for the pay-per-view on the 21st of January, which had Yuzuki Aikawa's comeback and Konami versus Rina for the Y belt. To draw over 1,300 people when effectively all you've got are tag matches, multi-woman matches. There was one singles match, which was Syuri against a rookie. There was no title matches. I think that's still an indication of how hot this company is. Really, really good number. What impressed me as well is the number pushes Stardom's total attendance for January this year to 9,035 people. Now, that, to give you some indication, is a 32.79% increase on last year's number. 6,804 they drew in January 2025, and an impressive 28.74% increase on their previous best. Their previous best in the month of January, 7,018 in 2023, which is quite the number, Matt.
I think you have to remember too, partner, that this Korakuen Hall card wasn't announced until like 2 days prior.
It
So
really wasn't.
it was like Stardom and that's it. And then I think the tickets whatever tickets were remaining. They sold the majority of them out when they saw the main event had Starlight Kid on one side and Saya Kamitani on the other, because they're doing a great job building this up. Considering the fact a month ago we didn't think we'd see Saya until the pay-per-view. Just like, I'm on
Exactly, yeah.
paid vacation. I'm like, I get it, no problem, but they're doing a great job gaslighting this match coming up this week, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited for this match with Kid and Kamitani. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny. 1,300 people in Korakuen Hall, they almost sold it out. Yet it's a 10% decrease. So it's like,
Yeah.
this little engine that could. I think Stardom. Hopefully, they do a little bit better without any decreases on the core. I think there's a Korakuen Hall show. I think on the 14th. I think there's one the week after the pay per view. I think it's either the 13th or 14th. I think there's one in 2 weeks' time. But regardless, this is a really, really fun show. And the fact that, again, it's the norm for Korakuen to be doing 1,200, 1,300 people. Again, considering the full card wasn't announced until a few days prior. And again, the one singles match we did get, it had to be scraped last minute.
What I'm really intrigued to know is, I'm sure New Japan will have done it, but how many other companies could run 4 Korakuen Hall events in a month and draw over 1,300 people to all 4 events? That's quite a staggering statistic when you think about it. And when you consider, again, that this show is the 25th Korakuen Hall show in a row that Stardom have drawn over 1,000 people to Korakuen Hall. It's the 29th of the last 30 that they've drawn over 1,000 people to Korakuen Hall. Again, it's an incredibly rich vein of form that Stardom have found themselves in. And I think this show epitomizes that, because this wasn't a must-see show by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't think me and you are going to try and tell people that it's an absolute must-see show. There are great matches on it, absolutely. Syuri Anou, Natsupoi, Hina, and Tomoka Inaba, the main event, were both great. But again, you're not really missing anything if you don't see it. However, no title matches, one singles match, over 1,300 fans in attendance. I think that's an incredible statistic for Stardom. So in terms of the results then, we open with a 6-woman tag match. Sayaka Kurora, Yuna Mizumori, and Maki Ito defeated Aya Sakura, Saki Kashima, and Rani Yagami. Sayaka Kurora gained the pinfall over Rani Yagami with a Tokamaki spear in 10 minutes and 57 seconds. In what was the second best match on this card, I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Tag team action, God's Eye, Hina and Tomoka Inaba defeated Syuri, Natsupoi, and Syuri Anou, with Hina reversing the special pottering into the ghetto clutch. Really cool, innovative use of the ghetto clutch in 9 minutes and 57 seconds. Singles action, Syuri obliterated Kikyo Furusawa before submitting her with the grounded abdominal stretch in 8 minutes and 11 seconds. 6-woman tag team action, the Neo Genesis team of Azumi, Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki defeated Hazuki and Kanai and Fuwa-chan, with Azumi pinning Fuwa-chan with the diving double foot stomp in 10 minutes and 58 seconds. 8-woman tag action, Stars, Hanan, Saya Ida, Momokogo, and Uriah Hime. They defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, Fukigen Death, and Azusa Inaba. Saya Ida rolling up Fukigen Death with Ida Bashi in 8 minutes and 23 seconds. 5-on-4 elimination tag team match, and this is going to be an interesting topic. The EXV team of Maika, Zena, Hanako, Rian, and Waka Tsukiyama versus Mavida Loka, Suzu Suzuki, Rini, Yamashita, Tsuki Aoki, and Akira Kuragane ended in a double elimination in 19 minutes and 7 seconds. Just bear that configuration of this match in mind, because if it sounds familiar, it is. And then your main event, the 6-woman tag match, the Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Konami, and Rina defeated Starlight Kid, Amisori, and Syuri in 18 minutes and 15 seconds, when Saya Kamitani defeated Starlight Kid with the Star Crusher and then stole her mask. The ultimate embarrassment for Kid there. Lots to discuss, Matt. Let's get into it. We opened with a 6-woman tag match. Saki Kashima stealing the show initially with that low-speed style, to the point where the Japanese commentary team were genuinely laughing at Saki Kashima's exhaustion. But ultimately, it was all about Aya Sakura and Maki Ito this, although that closing stretch between Rani Yagami and Sayaka Kurora was great.
It was really weird. Like I started doing my notes and I'm like, wait, did I do this wrong? I and Sayaka on the opposite sides. It was just really weird to see. We didn't get really much interaction between them, but this is basically Saki Kashima doing some comedy stuff. Maybe she's going to have one more shot at the high speed championship with Yuna Mizumori, which I think would be a good, feather in Yuna's cap to have a successful title defense against Saki Kashima, the low speed champion, if you remember, Rob.
Yes,
so we played off that, but yeah, majority of this match was about building Maki Ito and Aya Sakura, because of course they have a match coming up on this fantastic pay-per-view this weekend. But then Sayaka Kurora getting the win over Tomoka, Rana Yagami at the end, a really great closing stretch. Everybody in this match was over. Everybody has kind of their own different style that sticks out. I thought this was a really good way to start the show. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
And Sayaka Kurora did actually come out and say it was good to get a definitive win over someone in her class, which obviously Rani Yagami is. They graduated at the same time. So of her class, to get that big definitive win was really, really important for her. Coming out of this is where Ann Kanai and Yuna Mizumori will come together to challenge Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora for the New Blood Tag Team Championships, which obviously happened at today's New Blood event, which I'm not ruining any of the results for you. Hopefully you can go out and watch it for yourself. It is free on YouTube. Moving on, and this was really great. I absolutely loved this. Sayori versus Hina and Tomoka Inaba. Of everything on this match, bar the main event, this was what got me the most excited. Not only because I'm a huge fan of Syuri Poi, a huge fan of their dynamic, but also because Stardom are currently positioning Hina like a star. They really, really are. We said when she dropped that Future of Stardom championship that that run was the best thing for her. Her confidence had bloomed. Her ability to lead matches had bloomed. And on top of that, because she isn't having breaks to go to school and she's having consistency in the ring, she is flourishing. And that exchange with two of the best wrestlers in the company really does showcase why she is one of the hottest prospects to watch in 2026 and why she's got to be a favorite to win the Cinderella tournament this year. That aside, I genuinely do think that we see a Hina and Tomoka Inaba challenge for the Goddess of Stardom Championships. I
Ooh.
think they are the team that will come out at Supreme Fight after BMI 2000 beat Hannon and B. Priestley. But again, the two partnerships in this, obviously, we had flashes of, Tomoka Inaba and Syuri and Natsupoi and Hina, but this was all centered around that opening exchange between Natsupoi and Tomoka Inaba, which was great. And then that closing stretch, Syuri and Hina, give me more of that. Hina and Syuri in a singles match, abso-goddamn-lutely.
There's a lot to unpack. This was great. I'm with you, partner. This was my second favorite match of this show. The two images that are going to remain with me for a long time in this show is Kid unmasking Starlight Kid and ripping out part of her hair. We'll get into
Of
that
course, yeah.
later. And then Hina getting the shock win over Soriano. Not only getting a shock win over Soriano, Rob, it was about 5 weeks ago in this very building. Soriano pinned the World of Stardom champion with the special pottering. Hina countered that same hold and then pinned Soriano with the ghetto clutch. And again, we're about a month removed from Soriano main eventing Dream Queendom in a phenomenal, phenomenal match and selling out Sumo Hall. So it's not like, well, Hina got a win on like it was a Cosmic Angels match and she pinned Yuna, or they beat Soripoi and she pinned Natsupoi. She pinned somebody that helped put 6,500 people and sell out Sumo Hall, break the record in Soriano, and counter the move that Ano used to pin Saya Kamitani. That there's levels to this. This is completely, and she looked great doing it. It wasn't like Hina took a pacing for 8 minutes and then got like a Spike Dudley fluke roll up.
It was a great back and forth in this. That was the thing.
It was fantastic. I mean, you have to look at Soriano. We know she's a main eventer. Clearly, I just mentioned it. Natsupoi's been dabbling in the main event for years and is somebody that they can put her on a main event of any show and it'll sell really well. Tomoka Inaba is fantastic. Still very young, still is going to main event a lot of shows here in Stardom. But it's Hina the one that walks out here. Hina was the one they put the spotlight on. She was terrific. And we've been seeing Soriano and Natsupoi team up for the better part of 3 years. And they're a special tag team, and they were special here. Where we really don't see Tomoka and Hina team up that much. So I wasn't thinking that they're the next challengers, Rob. I would definitely not say no to that. Hina and Tomoka versus the winners of Hanan and B versus BMI 2000. Either way you shake it out, it'll be really, really good because if we do see new champions at the end of this weekend, we have sister versus sister with Hina and Hanan, and then Tomoka Inaba, absolute killer versus B Priestley, who B, ever since she came back to Stardom this summer, she's throwing those forearms with ill intent, my friend. So, and again, if you put them against BMI 2000, they're doing a great job carrying those Goddesses Stardom Tag Team Championships. And it would make sense because they pin probably as far as work rate goes, the best work rate team in Stardom, which is saying something when you have FWC, BMI 2000, Wingori, O2 line, so on and so forth. And this was a genius move giving this free on YouTube. You literally could have put this on before the main event because the place was going nuts, but they did this on purpose to give a showcase to this match. And Hina, again, great teamwork with Tomoka and Hina. We really don't get to see them team up that much. So I point to the shock of nobody was predictably great here. Great teamwork, great singles work, great stuff with Tomoka and Soriano, which again, very much like last week, we only got a little bit of. Still something interesting. There's something there if they want to pull the trigger. Great stuff with Poi and Tomoka Inaba, but you're right, partner. That closing stretch with Hina and Soriano was fantastic and a finish nobody really saw coming, and they got the crowd. That's the thing. You want that big pop. 1,300 people I don't know how many people were watching live on YouTube or watched it the day after, but I know it got a lot of views on YouTube. Hina getting the win here. They clearly are positioning her to do something big. Maybe the odds-on favorite to win the Cinderella tournament. More on that in a month for Rob's annual heart attack episode. But I think it could be. I think Hina is the odds-on favorite right now. 4.25 stars. This was brilliant on so many levels, buddy.
Moving on then, Kikyo Furusawa versus Syuri. Now, obviously, as we mentioned before, this was initially supposed to be Lady C versus Syuri, and though I imagine the result would have been the same, the match itself, I think, was changed significantly from what it would have been. However, that being said, Kikyo Furusawa stood up to a volley of offense from Syuri, and actually took the match to her in the initial, 10, 30 seconds by charging her straight away. Proved to be a dreadful mistake from Kikyo Furusawa because she then spent absolutely. She then spent the rest of the match getting her arse beat. But that resilience, the crowd were massively behind her. Big win. Okay, well, dominant win, should I say, not big win. I don't think Syuri's coming out going, thank God for that. Only narrowly beat Kikyo Furusawa. Jesus. Cool, get me out of Korakuen Hall. Good grief.
She was like the 1, 2, 3 kid in the Manhattan Center when he stole the money. Same thing.
Absolutely. Roll up, sprinted out of Korakuen Hall.
Give me my pay, Mr. Okada.
Absolutely. But another dominant win for Syuri. I think, again, we are building up to that huge singles match. We did sort of talk about this last week about how it could be someone like a Hazuki, maybe in a pay-per-view later on. I believe the next one after the Supreme Fight show is probably going to be the Cinderella Tournament Finals. So we could see something there because I can't see Hazuki or Syuri being in that tournament. So maybe we load that up on the pay-per-view. I don't know. Obviously, Syuri is calling for stronger challenges. Bless her heart, Kikyo Furusawa was not it. However, it was a good performance from her in the face of just adversity in all manners.
Rob, so you don't want to see Cinderella Syuri?
I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying the chances are it won't.
How funny would it be if it's like round 1, Akira Kurigami, pretty much a rookie. Round 2, Ann Kanai. Round 3, Kikyo like she wins the whole Cinderella tournament wrestling 7 minutes combined.
I was just going to say her average match is like 2 minutes.
It's like Jordan in the NBA playoffs in the 90s, where it's like not even close. Basically, I think Kikyo Furusawa was like, okay, I can watch this match where Syuri beats Syuri or Mayu beats Syuri, or I can watch what happened with Uriah Hime last week. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do because I'll get that advantage for 20 or 30 seconds, and then I'm going to get basically my butt kicked. But yeah, she took her to the outside. She threw her through the chairs. Got a great reaction. Again, Korakuen Hall, they love Kikyo Furusawa. She was massively over in this match. Syuri then, of course, makes her comeback, starts beating up Kikyo Furusawa, petite on her. The biggest reaction in this match was Syuri goes for a body slam and Kikyo blocks it and then slams Syuri herself. Like you would have thought the roof.
Massive pop.
The place went nuts. Again, Kikyo Furusawa, just another one of these wrestlers on the bottom part of this roster that just has something to do and is connecting with the audience on a different way than some of the other wrestlers, which is really great to see because she's somebody in the next year, 2 years, 3 years is going to move up the card. I'm really interested to see what she does in the Cinderella tournament, if she is on there, because I can see her maybe going to the quarterfinals or semifinals, again, depending how the brackets do shape out to be. But a great performance. Most important, the crowd was really into it. She survived Syuri. I was really looking forward to that Lady C match. When I found out late on Friday night that Lady C was sick and not be able to make the match, we made mention last week, partner on the show, how excited I was for Lady C to get that big match with a big star like Syuri. Hopefully they do it maybe on the next Cork and on the 13th, but still a really enjoyable match. 3 3/4 stars. And of course, my prediction of after this match, there's going to be a big main event star that's going to come out and challenge Syuri for the next pay-per-view. Obviously, that didn't happen. So again, hey, at least I'm consistent at being wrong. And I wear that hat really well, buddy, because when you do something as often as I do, like being wrong, you just get really good at it and you get comfortable in your own skin. Sometimes you get cocky about being wrong.
You just own it, brother. You just don't. You have to. You have to steer into the skid. You have to steer. Absolutely. We've got 6-woman tag match. This was a lot of fun. Again, it's always fun to see Neo Genesis team up together. There is a confidence in Fuwa-chan now, which I think, born of how good that singles match was at Dream Queendom and the outings following that as well. Again, she looks confident in herself, and that bodes really well for that match at Supreme Fight with Rina, with obviously Rina coming off the top rope after the match and attacking both Fuwa-chan and Hazuki. Interesting note where she said, "You belong with us." A little bit of a tease about Dark Side Fuwa-chan. Now, I can't see that happening in the slightest, but it's a nice little wrinkle to add to that. Obviously, Rena had already come out and said basically that Fuwa-chan was half-arsing this wrestling run, picking and choosing the dates she wrestled on, which, again, sort of rings true, really. Obviously, we don't know why Fuwa-chan is only wrestling a handful of dates. Obviously, she has other commitments, but Rena weaving that into the storyline ahead of Supreme Fight is really good. Match itself was great, but ultimately it was there so that we could have the post-match angle with Rena, adding a little bit more fuel to the fire that is her match with Fuwa-chan at the pay-per-view match.
Yeah, you can see once Fuwa-chan came out, after Ankanai almost tripped and knocked everybody over on the entrance, that once Fuwa-chan came out,
yes, absolutely.
It's like, oh, geez.
Almost killed everyone, yeah. It's over already, lads. Let's just go home.
Yeah, I figured when Mayu's no longer in the company, we need something to kind of maybe take down Korakuen Hall. It's going to be Ankanai tripping over herself, which I'll get into how genius she was at the start of this match. But again, Fuwa-chan, even before she even hit the ring, she just seems so happy to be wrestling. Like, you can tell she's generally so happy to be there. Great chain wrestling exchange with her and Miyu Amasaki to start. No holes in the game, no happy feet, the footing, the timing, the ring work. Everything was great. And then we get Ankanai and Azumi. Ankanai belongs in the high-speed division. Their high-speed exchange in this like 30, 40 seconds was terrific. Eventually, just too much of Neo Genesis. You know, you have the high-speed sisters there, as I dubbed them, with Azumi Meisera. Obviously, Azumi and Miyu O2 line, just great double teamwork, triple teamwork. Really great stuff with Hazuki and Azumi. We only got a little bit of it. We never had a big major singles match between the two of them. I know they were in that Cinderella tournament back, I think, in 2023, where there was like 84 matches in round one, and all the matches went like 2 minutes. Like, we're getting Mayu and Saya Kamitani 2 minutes. We're getting Azumi and Hazuki 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, but like, we never had a big singles match. And I put this out on social media, Rob, after I watched this match. Since the tail end of this match was basically Azumi beating up Hazuki's friend, don't you think Hazuki eventually needs to come for revenge? Maybe she has to deal with Rina first because of the post match. But I really think because Azumi really paced, I mean, there was some kicks in that double stomp. She's like, yeah, I don't care if you're a YouTube star. Take this. That double stomp was brutal. And again, I think Hazuki needs to stand up for her friend. So again, if you're keeping score at home, Hazuki versus Syuri, Hazuki
I was
versus
just going
Azumi.
to say, we are booking a lot of matches for Hazuki here. We just want to see Hazuki. Don't forget Hazuki versus Syuri as well, that we've already booked it. We're basically booking a lot of Hazuki singles matches that we know aren't going to happen.
The Syuri one might happen because they did tease that in a backstage segment.
That, yeah.
So I think that one will happen. But again, I mean, Azumi and Hazuki kind of had a stare off before Rina got there. So it is a possibility. Maybe I'm grasping for straws. Again, Rob, it is kind of I'm always, buddy, always aiming for the stars, buddy. Aim for the stars, and sometimes you'll hit the moon, I think is the saying. But anywho, it's a fresh match. We haven't seen Azumi and Hazuki in a proper match in quite some time. Again, Ankanai, you know, Hazuki's in the teaming with two pretty much inexperienced wrestlers, and Fuwa-chan and Ankanai. She did a great job putting their spots in this match where they would ultimately succeed. Hazuki was great because she's Hazuki, but ultimately this was just the Neo Genesis party, especially with Azumi just pasting Fuwa-chan. But again, give me Fuwa-chan versus Azumi, maybe at a Korakuen Hall somewhere, because I thought they worked really well together. Shocking because it's Azumi. I thought this was a really, really terrific match in the middle of the card. I actually gave it 4 stars. And I really like the post-match angle with Rina. And again, you could set up Hazuki versus Rina. So again, Hazuki versus Rina, Hazuki versus Azumi, Hazuki versus Syuri, Hazuki versus Captain America, because he's coming back at the end of the year, buddy.
Yes.
So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Hazuki versus Doctor Doom. Supposedly that's the finish. Is that Doctor Doom wipes out all the X-Men and the Avengers. Marvel's going to come after me, and then there's nobody left. And then Hazuki pump kick, brain buster. That's it. You know, that's how I want that movie to end.
I really, really want the post-credit scene just to be Hazuki giving face wash kicks to Robert Downey Jr. I think that's the ending we all want to see. But knowing our luck, she'd absolutely batter him and then get rolled up, because that's what we as Hazuki fans are just used to seeing nowadays.
To drop my phone. You can't even book Hazuki right in your own fantasy world. You still have her emails.
Exactly. Moving on then, Stars versus Hate. Surprised they didn't give Hanan the victory here. Obviously, we know that she pinned Natsuko Tora earlier on in the month, so they've got the win there. But I am still surprised Hanan didn't secure the win, with it being her alongside B. Priestley going against BMI 2000. Still always nice to see Syuri secure a victory, though.
Great start to this match with Momo Kogo and Azusa Inaba. Really interesting thing there. If they ever want to go that route somewhere, maybe for the high speed championship, if or number one contenders, that was a really great start. You have the Fuking Death always corrupting the youth with one Uriah Hime, which I thought was really funny. And you almost get a tag match here with BMI 2000 versus Wingori. If you do remember, it was in the same building that BMI 2000 did defeat Wingori to win those Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships a handful of months ago. So you had some really fun stuff there. Hanan looked like $1 million. So great to see her back. The BMI 2000 as a tag team and as a heel tag team, like a next generation heel tag team, they hit all the beats, the heat, cutting the ring off, making sure you're giving proper hope spots, the hot tag bumping and feeding. Just when it looks like they're ready to lose, there's some cheating involved. They get the proper actual boos from the crowd. Then ultimately, it is the clown getting rolled up with the Itabashi. So I like this. They did a good job shining upon him. You had 8 minutes, 8 people, not enough time to tell their story, but I still thoroughly enjoyed this one, buddy. I had it at 3.5 stars.
So this was the match that I sort of didn't understand why we were getting this. So at the pay-per-view on Saturday, we have got EXV versus Mavida Loca in an elimination 5-on-4 handicap match. Now, I know that will take the form of a series of singles matches. So the form is slightly different. But to then run EXV versus Mavida Loca in a 5-on-4 handicap match, elimination rules, on the show a couple of days beforehand just seemed really bizarre. I don't really understand why you would run the exact same match you are doing on the pay-per-view a couple of days before. Now, I know that obviously you are building heat towards that pay-per-view match. I would argue, did this really need to be a 5-on-4? I mean, there wasn't a lot of matches on this card, considering it was a Korakuen card, and we tend to get, 10 matches sometimes on these Korakuen cards. You could have easily split this into 2 different matches. I don't think you needed to do an elimination match. I think 19 minutes to then end up in a draw is too long. It was a good match. Don't get me wrong. There was bits that I really enjoyed. I'm never going to turn my nose up at Micah versus Suzu Suzuki, especially after their feud in 2023. Obviously, there's still those lingering tensions, even though EXV are quote unquote fine. There's still those lingering tensions between Hanako and Micah, especially. I just don't know why we needed to do this when we're doing the exact same thing at the pay-per-view.
It got heat. Like, it definitely got over, but I was like, oh, we're doing this, like, with the over the top rope. And again, kind of 90% of the same format that we're getting on Saturday, which I'm already excited to see. So I was like, okay, we'll run it back again. Yeah, I agree. They could have just did Micah versus Suzu and like let it go to like a 15-minute time limit draw or like a double count out, or like all the everybody in factions are getting involved, and it turns into a big brawl in Korakuen Hall all over the place. Regardless, I think that because EXV, they were on the same page, like there was no mishap, especially with Hanako and Micah, that you're going to see that on the pay-per-view. Like, you're just waiting for something to happen in this match, and it never happened. So I think it's just the anticipation. I think another thing is the fact that this wasn't the main event of the show, and on Saturday it's not going to be the main event of the show. It's just basically you're kind of just doing it over again to add towards those last 2 or 3 big matches that we're going to see on Saturday. So absolutely, partner, I agree with you. I'm like, why do we really need to see this again? But for the 19 minutes this was on my screen, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, first of all, Suzu being eliminated first, I was like, ooh, didn't see that coming. My guess is probably going to come down to Suzu and Micah towards the end, or
It's either going to be Suzu and Micah, or it's going to be Micah and Rena.
yeah, something like that. But my whole thing was like, we know who the stars are in this match. It's Micah and Suzu. Again, 2023, 2024, 5-star Grand Prix winners. Micah, former red belt champion. Suzuki's fantastic. So, it's like, well, maybe they're doing this match to try to get somebody else over. And very much like Rob for our friends over at the Marigold Standard, where I was dead set that the 3D tag team winners are going to be Kokiyama and Nicolano and Megaton. And you laughed at me as this match started. I was like, I know who's going to get over in this match. Like, again, Micah's already over. Hanako is a big part of the storyline. Suzuki main eventer. I'm like, oh, they're going to get Waka over. And I was as sure as getting Waka over in this match as I was with Megaton winning the 3D title tournament. And I was just as wrong. Because just as I had that thought in my head, Waka got pinned, because I was like, oh, Xena got pinned pretty quick. Suzu got out there pretty quick. But ultimately, who got over in this match the most was Rena. I mean, Rena Yamasha was unbelievable. Like, what a worker. Such a great worker. Her stuff with Hanako towards the end, and even we've seen it in these tag matches this past month, has been great. That closing sequence with her and Micah was out of this world. I want to see a single, depending on how this all shakes out this weekend, I want to see that in a singles match, because Micah's fantastic. I mean, you just one of the best wrestlers in this company. You just forget how great Micah is because of how great Stardom was the 6-7 months she was on the shelf. It's just like Starlight Kid, Azumi, Sai Kamitani, Momo Watanabe. The list goes on and on and on. And then you get Micah here just on another level. It's just like when they're ready to pull the trigger on that big match with her and Kamitani, we'll eventually get there. But her and Rena, I thought towards the end was great. I know what they were trying to go for with that suplex and the double elimination. I know the timing wasn't exactly Lex Luger and Bret Hart from '94, but folks, it's wrestling. It happens. I still thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought the work was great. Xena was phenomenal in this match. Really hard hitting stuff with her and Akira and her and Aoki. Excellent stuff. I had this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, the 2 questions were, why do we do a double elimination? Because I guess it kind of makes sense, because now it's like the question is, who's the better faction? Because you didn't have a proper winner here. So that question will be answered on Saturday. Again, thoroughly enjoyed it. I see your point, my friend, but take that all out and just enjoy the match for what it is, which is exactly what I did. I thought this was really great. Again, maybe I was hoping for a Waka win, but I guess you can't have it all, good sir.
Moving on to your main event then, and the match itself is great. Really, really good. Saya Kamitani, Konami, and Rena versus Starlight Kid, Amisori, and Syuri. Obviously, a tremendous amount of heat there just for Saya Kamitani in terms of her next challenger in Starlight Kid. Obviously, the person she lost the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, and a match at the Tokyo Dome 2 in Syuri. You've got Konami and Amisori in there as well, and possibly the hottest, youngest talent in Stardom and in Rena. There's a lot going on here. The match itself was brilliant. The partnerships were great. The excitement was built for both those big title matches for the pay-per-view. The big thing coming out of this, of course, is that Starlight Kid goes into Supreme Fight having never pinned Saya Kamitani, or not pinned Saya Kamitani in the lead up in this feud. Not only that, she then got unmasked.
And her hair ripped out.
Now, not only is that Saya Kamitani winning, that is Saya Kamitani emphatically winning. Now, one would argue that if Starlight Kid loses at the pay-per-view, which I think the vast majority of us, I think, are assuming she is going to, again, look at Stardom's business, why would you change? If Starlight Kid loses, what has been gained? Really. Now, I know that obviously she's had exposure in the main event. It's her first challenge for the red belt. Perfectly aware of that. That's great. However, the feud has been so unbelievably one-sided. And you could argue that, yes, this is her punishment for using the Star Crusher on Fukigen Death, and, she got Saya Kamitani angry or whatever. I just think that there is more. Again, look at me telling Taro Okada how to book, but I just think there should have been more back and forth. You know, we saw it with Saya Kamitani and Syuri. We saw it with Saya Kamitani and Natsupoi. We saw it with Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe. Starlight Kid seems to be the only one that hasn't been able to get some sort of foothold on the champion at all, even after this fantastic match.
I'm just going to talk about the match real quick, buddy, because then I want to talk about what you just talked about. Again, this was great. We started with Kid and Kamitani to start, and then we got Ami, Sori, and Konami, and they've done a great job building their respective championship matches. Konami and Ami Sori is going to be my match. It's going to be hard-hitting kicks, submissions, big bumps, great stuff there. And then you kind of have Syuri and Rina in here. They're obviously Syuri's one of the best wrestlers in this company in the last 5 years, and Rina is going to be one of, if she's not already, the best wrestler in this company. So you wonder, are they setting up Rina for possible challenge for one of Syuri's belts? Was that maybe one of the reasons why they had Syuri in here? Like, you know why you have Kid, Ami Sori on one team and Kamitani and Konami on the other, because it's your go home, Korakuen, before the pay-per-view. Like, why do we have Syuri and Rina? Is this something they wanted to test out to see if they have chemistry to maybe go for a future championship match there? I don't know. I hope so. Who doesn't want to see Syuri versus Rina in a big 15, 20-minute championship match for one of Syuri's New Japan championships? So I like that there. I like it how eventually we come back down, we break down, we get some stuff with Ami Sori and Saya Kamitani. We get some stuff with Starlight Kid and Arena, which was great. A little bit of Syuri and Konami. Again, there's still something there that they never fully closed the door from Dream Queendom back in 2024. But regardless, Kamitani gets the big plancha towards the end. We get some really great back and forth with Starlight Kid and Saya Kamitani. You're just figuring Starlight Kid is going to pin Saya Kamitani. This is the formula, which I'm going to get into. But not only does that not happen, I know, obviously, of course, we have the hate interfering and the cheating, and that's rightfully so. And you're getting the proper heat and the proper booze. Kamitani then pins Starlight Kid with the Star Crusher in the middle of the ring. And I know that's kind of what they talked about in the press conference. The Star Crusher was invented to crush the Stars and Starlight Kid. That's the whole angle that we're going to with. So I'm like, okay, I'm all in for that. And I think this feud, this championship match has been built up really well. Then I'm thinking, well, maybe after the post-match thing, Starlight Kid will jump Kamitani. She'll leave Kamitani laying. This way, there's your big build towards the pay-per-view. Now you do not get that. But Kamitani rips the mask off Starlight Kid fully. And then May Sarah comes in with the Neo Genesis shirt, puts it over Starlight Kids, and then May Sarah properly gets kicked in the head from Kamitani because that wasn't enough. And then the cool visual that was all over the internet, and it's still there and getting tons of views and tons of plays, is the strand of hair from Starlight Kid's mask there. Now, I know some people are like, well, Matt, that's one of her hair extensions. Listen, this is pro wrestling. Kayfabe it. I'm saying that Starlight Kid's actual hair. It would have been something if she was bleeding from the scalp. I'm sticking with it. Not only did she pull the mask, I'm going all in. If we're already here, Rob, we may as well go all in. That was some of Starlight Kid's hair. But when she pulled the mask off and she stood on top of Starlight Kid with the hair strand in the one part of the mask, it got the proper heat. It was the proper boo, like the exact heel heat that you want. Now let's talk about what you just talked about, partner, where it's just like we all kind of figured Starlight Kid would get a win here, probably on Kamitani. If not on Kamitani, as long as she gets a win, she's the one standing tall before the pay-per-view. Gaps, you're absolutely right, buddy. We now do not get that. Kid got her mask completely torn off with part of her hair in the mask, and that is the visual that you saw. So now we've seen this formula, and obviously it works. Kamitani loses to Suzu Suzuki. This time last year, loses to Suzu Suzuki, wins the championship match. Loses to Tam in a tag match, beats Tam. Loses to Sayaka Kurora in a tag match, beats Sayaka Kurora. Soriano, Azumi, some point in time, 90% of her challengers this past year have beaten Kamitani. We go to the pay-per-view. It's an epic match, sets a record. So it's just like, why change the formula? And they did it here to make you think, Starlight Kid's the baby face here. She's got to get something, right? She's got to get something. And I'm like, now are we paying her money to see our hero, Starlight Kid, get her revenge on Kamitani? Are we going to see a title change? Is there something going on with Saya that we don't know about? Or is like, maybe they want to change something. Maybe Kamitani does want time off. Maybe she's a little bit banged up and it's like, we don't want to run her to the ground where she's out 6 to 8 months. Maybe she's just out a month or two. and this is the build. Is there possibility for Starlight Kid to win the belt here? I think now there's a better shot because you got to give Starlight Kid something, and maybe she does walk out of Osaka with the championship. And the interesting thing is, for me personally, I didn't realize this, but the Tokyo Joshi Pro Show and the Stardom Show were on this exact same. When they weren't exact same, I think Stardom was a half an hour later. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna, it's 9 o'clock on a Friday. I was like, I'm gonna watch the Tokyo Joshi Pro Show. So I'm watching it, and then I get an alert the Stardom Show is starting. So I was like, okay, the way I have this room set up is I could watch more than one show. So about an hour into the show, my lovely wife comes and gives me a bowl of ice cream with some peanut butter on to give me some energy because she's the best. So obviously I know what happens on the Stardom Show. Next morning, I wake up, go to the gym, come home, and my wife asked me, "How was the Stardom Show?" So I told her what happened at the end. She goes, "Oh," without even batting an eye, she goes, "Oh my God, Starlight Kid's going to win the championship next week, isn't she?" Because that's the formula. That's the formula that they usually go with. All these championship matches Kamitani's had, we're all pretty sure like she's retaining, she's retaining, she's retaining. Still pretty sure that she's retaining, but now I don't know how they're going to go about it. Is there something where Starlight Kid gets her heat back? Because she has to do something. Because if she loses here and doesn't get her heat back, could they build her back up? Sure, it's Starlight Kid, she'll be fine. And again, who are we to tell Taro Okada how to book because they're smashing records left and right? This match is even more interesting. Even if, again, Kamitani, she's taking that month break. We weren't supposed to see her back until Supreme Fight. I'm still all in because it's Kamitani and Starlight Kid, two of the best wrestlers on planet Earth, wrestling for, in my opinion, the most important belt in all of wrestling, the World of Stardom Championship. Now Kamitani comes back, attacks Starlight Kid at the last Korakuen show when Kid's trying to pre-sell her book. So now we're doing that. We've got the great press conference. We get this great exchange between the two of them in this match, and then this amazing post-match. This is one of the best built Stardom matches I have seen, maybe since Tam and Saya last year. I think it's perfectly well done. I can't wait to see the match. Again, these two, 2022, for the Wonder of Stardom Championship, one of my favorite Wonder of Stardom Championship matches of all time. Still to this day, my all-time favorite Starlight Kid match. Their playoff match in Shinjuku Face in the 5-Star Grand Prix in 2024. Definitely my top 3 or 4 favorite Starlight Kid matches ever. And I've seen every Starlight Kid match since 2021. But now she's in the main event, competing for the red belt for the first time. Saya Kamitani has 2 or 3 weeks off to kind of heal a little bit. Kamitani always delivers in big championship matches. She's had ever since 2021, and she's doing it here now. Man, I mean, I'm excited for this whole show. I was excited for this match to begin with, but now you're throwing this post-match angle on with the mask after Saya Kamitani beats Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid has to get her comeback. How does it happen? Does she win the belt? I've said it before. Stranger things have happened, buddy. It'd be more of a shock if Tam came back on the Unagi show than it would be for Starlight Kid to win the championship here. I wouldn't be shocked if Starlight Kid wins here. Not my official prediction. We're getting to that in a moment, but they made this match somehow even more interesting. And I've not been this excited for a wrestling match probably since Sai and Tam. And I'm excited for everything, but my excitement level on a scale of 1 to 10 for this match is like an 80. So, man, I can't wait for it. Saturday can't come soon enough, my man.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
4.25 stars. Sorry, 4.25 stars.
Yeah.
My favorite match of the show.
Oh yeah, match. Yeah, it's an interesting one because again, Kid will be fine. Like, you know, she could take a beating at Supreme Fight, lose the match in 10 minutes, and you know, she has enough momentum and enough goodwill to build her back up. I don't think Kid takes the belt here. Unless Kamitani needs more time off. I mean, I would still keep the belt on Kamitani. Unless it's a long-term thing, I would still keep the belt on Kamitani, even if she needs time off. I mean, the Stardom roster have proved that, you know, they can still maintain a good amount of attendances. Those first 2 Korakuen Hall shows, don't forget, that drew over 1,300 people. Kamitani wasn't on those shows, and she wasn't on the Korakuen Hall show where they drew 1,480. So if she needs more time off, fine. I don't think you have her drop the belt. I think Kid will give a good account of herself. I don't think it will be Kid's final attempt at this red belt by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's more of a dipping the toes into the water. Now, again, do I think it's absolutely impossible that Kid walks out as red belt champion? No, it's pro wrestling. I just don't see why Stardom would change things at the moment. Again, it could happen. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And again, I'd proffer the question: if Kid doesn't win the belt, why embarrass her in the way that Kamitani? And again, you can say, well, it's heel heat, and I agree with you. That visual of her standing with the mask and the hair dangling from it, it's a cool visual. It really is. And again, Saya Kamitani is supposed to be a heel. We forget that sometimes. Because again, she's great, and again, the aura. Yeah, people aren't going to boo Saya Kamitani. She could kick a puppy in the middle of the ring, and people aren't going to boo Saya Kamitani. Whether they do that just to try, I mean, it's obvious the heel face dynamic anyway, and I don't know whether it was done just in case Saya Kamitani gets more cheers than Starlight Kid does. I don't know. I found it quite a peculiar decision. Not a bad decision, just a peculiar one. More that Kamitani had Kid's number in almost every single exchange they've had since Kamitani came back.
The only thing I can think of, and a lot of time I go to my when I grew up watching wrestling, I grew up in the Hulk Hogan era, the hottest ever. Hogan was champion for 4 or 5 years. And then Hogan loses the belt with the whole twin referee, eventually goes on to Savage, and then Hogan wins the belt back a year later. And you're kind of like, why didn't Hogan just hold on to the belt the whole entire time? And then you find out he wants to do movies, so on and so forth. But at the same time, business-wise, what did it do? It elevated Savage to Hogan's level. So maybe it's like this, if Starlight Kid does win the belt, and again, I'm saying I don't think Kamitani's going to win, but say Sai Kamitani does win, now she's elevated to Kamitani's level. So then when they do that rematch, Rob, it's even bigger. That could be what they may be thinking. Who else can we get to Kamitani's level? Because there's no wrestler in Stardom's 15-year history as far as drawing power is on Kamitani's level. Maybe they're thinking this is the way to get Kid there, is have Kid beat Sai Kamitani a week before, or then doing this angle the week before. Again, I don't know. I'm here for the journey, though. I am 100% in for the journey, my friend. So again, we'll find out how this all shakes out. And again, I don't think this is the end of the road for them. Like, I don't think this is. This looks like okay, this is the big championship match. What's Kamitani going to move on to after this? I think this could be the start of the next huge rivalry, the next Tam versus Julia, the next Io versus Mayu, the next Syuri versus Utami, so on and so forth. I think that these two can be having matches, tags, singles, 6-person, like we saw here in Korakuen Hall, for a long, long time, and they can be different in each its own way, and they can be drawing money. I know if you've been paying attention to these two on social media, Kamitani's been showing how evil Starlight Kid was in the past, with her running the bike over the members of Prominence in Dream Queendom a couple years ago. And then Kamitani saying, Starlight Kid saying, well, Kamitani used to be good. What if not to say if these two have like 5 matches in 3 years, Starlight Kid comes out in the black and purple and Kamitani comes out in the white and green? It would be a different dynamic going. There's so much that they can do where I think this is just the start of the rivalry, Rob. That's why maybe there's a title change here. And again, I don't know. But again, these two, if you were to ask me, Matt, who do you think are the 5 best wrestlers in all of wrestling in ring? I think that this is like 2 and 4. Like with Will Ospreay being number 1, Kamitani 2, and then Azumi or Starlight Kid 3 or 4. I mean, you're literally having 2 of the best wrestlers in wrestling for the richest prize in all of wrestling, that World of Stardom Championship, and then you're throwing all this other stuff on it. Again, folks, if you can't tell, I'm slightly excited for this Saturday morning, my man.
The fact that you put Kid and Azumi above Mayu Iwatani upsets me greatly.
Ooh, yeah, you know what? Again, maybe Mayu's 3, and then these. I mean, you throw Io in there as well. Io, the greatest to ever do it, as long as Mayu, the greatest to ever do it. So. you pitched me a softball. I didn't realize you did that,
Absolutely. Right, let's talk about the pay-per-view then. The pay-per-view is coming up on Saturday, the 7th of February. A couple of start times. It's due to start 3 p.m. Japan Standard Time, 6 a.m. UK time, 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, Mr. Matt Turner. 10 p.m. on the 6th of February. So on the Friday, if you are on a Pacific Standard Time. Edion Arena, Osaka, 10th time Stardom have run that venue, or it will be anyway. The highest currently is the historic crossover show that they ran with New Japan, 3,547 in attendance there. The average that they have, 1,651. They drew 1,400 the last time they were there for Namba Grand Fight. I have a feeling that we will see a number greater than that and higher than the average. I'd be surprised if they outdraw historic crossover, but I'd also be surprised if we see a number under 2,200 at this show. So just a reminder, we'll go through these matches, sort of giving our predictions. The card: World of Stardom Championship match, Saya Kamitani versus Starlight Kid. Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Konami versus Syuri. BMI 2000 versus Hanan and B. Priestley for the Goddess belts. That 5-on-4 elimination unit battle between Mavida, Loka, and EXV. Saki Kashima versus Syuri. Ai Sakura versus Maki Ito. Rina versus Fuwa-chan. The four-way tag match with Uriah Hime and Sayurita, Hazuki, and potentially Billick and Death. Syuri Poyano 2-line, 6-woman tag, God's Eye versus Ankanai, Sayaka, Kurora, and Kikyo Furusawa, and then that 5-way Lady C, Momokogo, Azusa Inaba, Kyoka Katatsu, and Yuna Mizumori. Matt, looking ahead to some of these matches, obviously the preview will be on World of Joshi on Thursday, the 5th of February. So make sure you check that out. And that me and Matt will both give you our full predictions for each of these matches. Just talking about the main matches to start with, no disrespect to obviously the 5-way, the 6-woman, or the 4-way tag. Rina versus Fuwa-chan. Let's start with that one. I think Rina gets the win. I don't think Fuwa-chan is going to be turning to hate anytime soon. As I mentioned last week, the thing I am most interested in this match for, from a Fuwa-chan perspective, is to see how she does in a match where she's not paired with Hazuki. Obviously, everything we've seen her paired or against Hazuki. I'm intrigued to see how she does in a match with Rina. I think Rina gets a big win. And again, I see big things for Rina going into 2026.
A lot of these matches are hard to predict, Rob. I wouldn't be shocked if I get like one right. This is another one that's tricky to predict because you just figured, well, Rina will get a win here. She's coming off a great match with Konami. She's had a great year last year. She's primed for big things this year. But I'm going to go out on a limb and going to say Fuwa-chan gets the win here because she's a big celebrity. She's been fantastic in the ring. She hasn't gotten any wins. So we're having this new audience coming over to watch Fuwa-chan. But if she keeps losing, how long before her fan base is like, okay, we're going to stop watching the Stardom stuff because she's losing? So I think Rina would be the perfect foil to eat an L here because Rina is so good in the ring and so capable, and she is going to get over in that brat phase. I'm going to say, again, I'm not betting any money on this. I wouldn't be shocked if Rina wins. But I think just based on that, I think Fuwa-chan needs to start getting some wins here. So this way the fan base doesn't go elsewhere to watch other stuff. So I'm going to say Fuwa-chan picks up a big upset here.
It would be a big upset. It would be a really big upset.
I know Rina would be upset.
Rina would be devastated. I don't see them handing Rina a loss to Fuwa-chan. I think Fuwa-chan will start picking up victories quite soon, against the likes of an Ankanai or against the likes of a Kikyo Furusawa, for example. I don't see it happening against Rina on a pay-per-view. The fact that Fuwa-chan is in a singles position on a pay-per-view, I think, is big enough for her at the moment. I'm also intrigued to see, what is Fuwa-chan's endgame with pro wrestling as well. Obviously, she said she wants to give it a go. We've seen her have, a relatively full schedule of wrestling compared to, we've seen her wrestle a handful of times since Dream Queendom, so we know that she is going to be on these cards. I'm intrigued to see what, like I say, her end game is. Ice versus Maki Ito then, with a couple of stipulations. One being the winner is allowed to call themselves the cutest in the ring. And the second is that if Maki Ito loses, she's leaving Stardom after just over a month, or just under a month of having wrestled in Stardom. In case you didn't already think that Maki Ito's first Stardom pay-per-view appearance was going to be a win, the fact that that stipulation has been added sort of puts the bow on it. I've enjoyed the feud between Maki Ito and Aya Sakura. I've said before that Aya Sakura being given that chance to really flex her creative muscles away from Sayaka Kurora, away from Cosmic Angels, away from the conventional wrestling, which she's very good at. I've really enjoyed her stuff, her back and forth with Maki Ito in this feud. That being said, Maki Ito has to win this, surely.
I think the bell rings. Maki Ito goes to charge Aya. Aya hits the head kick and pins her with one finger. No, this will be great. Certain interactions are going to be fun, but I think Maki Ito picks up a win here for obvious reasons, as you mentioned. There's no way they made this huge. She had vignettes, like, mystery vignettes, which we only seen a handful of times in 15 years of Stardom. Like, that's a very WWE thing to do. And it's Maki Ito. She's over. Everybody knows who she is. She's got a presence over here in the States because of her time in AEW and working a lot of the big independents over here. So it's not like, okay, we signed her, all this fanfare. Now you're out in a month. It's not going to happen.
See you in a bit.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to build towards that big Maki Ito versus Soriano program, which I'm so excited about because they sprinkled a little bit over these last few months, and it's really, really good. But good for Aya Sakura getting a big spot on a really big show here. This is going to be a really big opportunity for her. I think this match is going to be fantastic. I think Maki Ito is going to get the win here. And how crazy would it be if she wins with like a TAM move, like the violent shooting or the violent screwdriver or something like that?
Syuri versus Saki Kashima, as Saki Kashima continues on her retirement road. Obviously has announced her retirement for the end of April at All-Star Grand Queendom in the Yokohama Arena. Has this singles match with her tag team partner in Anacon, and of course her unit leader in Syuri. Fairly even record in terms of their singles accolades. 3 wins for Syuri, 2 for Saki Kashima. And Saki Kashima brings that unpredictability. On her day can pin absolutely anyone on the roster. Now, obviously, Saki is coming to the end of her career, and we know is sort of struggling with injuries. I think that Syuri will probably win this. Saki has been doing a great job of acting absolutely terrified at the mere prospect of this match. I imagine there will be a lot of stalling from Saki because that's what she's great at doing. Potentially running to the back and having to be dragged out by Rana again. Maybe throwing up again, which is also fun. I think Syuri will probably win. I don't expect there to be much out-and-out wrestling in this match, but I expect it to be a lot of fun because, as we've said multiple times on this podcast, Saki is one of the most effortlessly funny people on this roster. But I think Syuri probably wins this. I mean, you're not going to have your IWGP Women's Champion rolled up before the pay-per-view in Trenton, New Jersey, are you?
Not only that, but a month after she beat Kamitani in the
Tokyo Dome. Exactly.
This is, you mentioned, obviously Saki Kashima is very funny. Syuri is actually very low-key funny as well. An absolute sweetheart of a person. We've been fortunate on many occasions to meet and talk with Syuri, an absolute sweetheart of a person that after you do the meet and greet, you're like, oh yeah, she's like a legit killer. So this is going to be a fun, funny match. It's not going to be Syuri versus Tommy by any stretch. There's going to be a lot of stalling, a lot of Memphis, a lot of comedy. We're still going to be very entertained with this one. But I think this one will go about 8-9 minutes with Syuri getting the win with probably either some sort of submission or like a buzzsaw kick. But yeah, I think that Syuri will get this. And there's going to be some near falls. There's going to be a couple Kishikasais that we're going to be, on the edge of our seats. Like, oh, did she get her? Did she get her? But yeah, with Syuri defending that belt against Athena at the end of the month and considering just beating the MVP and all of Japan and Saya Kamitani in the Tokyo Dome in front of like 50,000 people. Yeah, I just don't see her losing to Saki Kashima. So I'm going to roll with this one. This is one of the ones I'm really confident on Syuri getting the win here.
Mavida Loca versus EXV then. Again, they seem to have downplayed this whole unit dissolution thing, which I think was sort of briefly mentioned. I think Rina Yamashita mentioned it offhandedly in a promo about sort of one unit ending in dust or something. And I think that was interpreted as it potentially being a unit must disband. I still think there will be some sort of unit movement at the end of this, especially with the, the really unfortunate news that Bozilla is probably going to be out for. I'd be surprised if it's any less than 9 months, especially as it's been announced that she needs surgery. I think we could see a turn here. I think that Hanako is likely to go over to Mavida Loca if they don't just merge the two units. Obviously, Itsuki Aoki and Rina are freelancers. They have been doing a lot of startup work recently, but they are still freelancers. I do wonder if, because they can't be on every show, and that leaves you with Suzu and Akira, and Suzu's obviously struggled with injury and illness quite a lot lately. I do wonder if they are just going to merge those two factions, similar to what we've seen in New Japan with Bullet Club War Dogs and Unaffiliated. Although God knows what's happening in New Japan at the moment, because they just seem to be leaving in droves at the moment, because Hiromu's been announced as leaving today.
Yeah, Evil, and I think they said Clark Connors. I think she's going.
Clark Connors is signed to AEW. They reckon Gabe Kidd might be on his way. They reckon Drilla Maloney might be on his way. Good Lord. Anyway.
Yeah. Anywho, back to Stardom. I think this is, again, we talked about it when we just talked about their Korakuen match. There's something's going to happen in this match. This isn't going to be a straight up.
Has to,
yeah. There's going to be an angle, whether it's Hanako, and that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Hanako turns and Mavida Loca gets the win here, because they need that big hammer. Because with Bozilla on the shelf, we're still with EXV, they kind of have with Micah, and as well as with Cena, and of course with Stone Cold Rion, the biggest hammer in all of wrestling, Rob. So you don't need that other big hammer in Hanako. I can see them maybe kind of merging the units as well. There's definitely going to be some sort of angle in this match that we're going to be talking about next week. But I'm going to say Mavida Loca picks up the win here.
Yeah, I think on top of that, you've got to remember as well that there are a lot of rookies that are coming through without factions. So you can have rookies join and sort of bring them up. The likes of Kikyo, the likes of Ann, the likes of an Emma Maishima, who's still out injured. Matoy, of course, who is out injured as well. So you have got those options to bring in to reinforce EXV if you want to carry on with that. The Goddesses of Stardom Championships then, BMI 2000, Tora and Ruaka against Hanan and B. Priestley. I know that you were under the impression, or you'd sort of put out in the ether, that there might be a B. Priestley turn if this was the main event of a Korakuen Hall show. With it being third on the card, or at least that's at the moment where it is in terms of the running order, I'd be amazed if they do anything, especially if there's going to be a turn in the EXV versus Mavida Loca match. I think this will be a good match. Pardon me. But I see BMI retaining. BMI 2000 doing a great job with those belts. I mean, you've only got to look at the attendances when they're on top of the card. And I think the Goddesses of Stardom belts, again, have seen a resurgence recently, which is very, very good. I don't see Hanan and B. Priestley taking the belts. And I do see Tomoka Inaba and Hina potentially being your next challengers for the belts following this.
I'm in agreement with pretty much on all ends, Rob. I made mention a couple weeks ago when they made this match, but didn't know the venue that B was going to turn. Considering the fact that's not the main event, considering we're probably getting an angle in that EXV versus Mavida Loca match, and probably something's going to happen at the end of the Sai Kamitani Starlight Kid match, which we'll get into in a moment. I think if you do too many angles, it kind of waters the product down that is Stardom. Again, this isn't WWE, where WWE is more focused on the storyline wrestling, where Stardom is more focused kind of on the wrestling. But again, Stardom still has great storylines. But I think this is a BMI 2000 retain. I think that no B. Priestley turn here. I'm going to kind of go against kind of what I said a few weeks ago, but still going to be a great match. Hanan and B, first time really teaming as a tag team against this great tag team that is BMI 2000. This is another one that can kind of fly under the radar as one of the best matches on this loaded show. But again, BMI 2000, they're the hot hand. Business is good. You don't change it. So BMI 2000 picking up the win here.
Yeah, and as Brandon has pointed out on Patreon, they have announced that Stars are doing, I think it's called the Stars Sunshine Party or something like that, and B is on all the promotional posters for it as well. So I can't see them turning a heel now, having just announced that they're going to be doing. I don't know if it's a signing or if it's going to be some sort of event like Hayes are doing later on this month, but I can't see them turning B and just leaving them with four of them.
Spend all that money on promotional work and then she's gone.
Yeah, have to AI her out. The next match, obviously, Amisori and Konami. First time singles match as well. Second time that Amisori is challenging. Third time, actually, I apologize, challenging for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. I think this is a Konami retention. I think there are not better because that's the wrong word. In storyline, there are more fitting people to take the belt off Konami. I personally think that should be Hanan, simply because the whole angle to rule Hanan out through injury was Konami. Konami was the person leading that assault on her in September at Korakuen Hall. Hasn't been back since, has come back rejuvenated at the end of January. Obviously, Konami beat Hanan's tag partner at Dream Queendom in Syuri. The storyline is there for Hanan to beat Konami and then for potentially to run Rena and Hanan maybe at Dream Queendom or something like that. Either way, I don't see Amisori winning. What I do see is another great performance for Amisori that elevates her up towards that sort of main event scene. Not into it yet, but certainly more towards it. And I think that's what we can expect from this match. And again, it's worth pointing out, Konami, best work of her career at the moment with this white belt. And considering both of us were really shocked that Konami took the belt off Starlight Kid, actually, she's shut both of us up. Because again, she's been that cold, calculated killer that we'd been crying out for as a part of Hate. We didn't want her to just fade into the background and just be sort of this unnamed person at the back of Hate whilst Momo, Saya, and Tora all run the show. And I think Konami has done a tremendous job. I think the white belt again has helped her as well. And everything she's done since that opening of the 5-star Grand Prix where she choked out Syuri has been brilliant. I can see Konami retaining here.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned Konami's best work of her career, which is saying something. She had a great run in 2019, great run in 2021 before she took some time off. So it's not like she's just been okay. Konami's had some really fantastic years, but these last 7-8 months, again, she's a proven main eventer and a great heel, the heel that you will pay money to see people beat her. We've been seeing without, you know, a lot of people in Sumo Hall wanted to see Saida win. That didn't happen. So people are going to keep paying money to see if somebody can knock off Konami. They've done a great job building up Amisori, especially since she's come back from injury in last year at the 5-star Grand Prix during the summer. I can see Ami winning, but again, I think there's more money to be made with a Konami versus Hanan match because you just mentioned that partner, or Konami versus Starlight Kid match. Because again, Starlight Kid when she lost, she took time off because she was injured in that match with Konami. So I think there's other ways to go about it. I think the Hanan might be the better spot right now because Hanan beating Konami and then Hanan versus Rena or Hanan versus Hina. If Hina does win the Cinderella tournament, that's something we never really tapped into. And again, they're putting a lot of steam behind Hina. There's a lot of different ways they can go about it. Obviously, the correct answer is always Hazuki because why not, Rob? So a lot of different things they can go about it. But I'm going to agree with you here. I'm going to say Konami retains. This is another match I'm really looking forward to. Styles make fights. Amisori has a very similar style to Saya Ida. We saw how great that Ida versus Konami match was back at Dream Queendom about 5-6 weeks ago, and I expect this one to be the same. Hard-hitting, great psychology, great fighting spirit, a little bit of bending and breaking the rules from Konami, and hate to really get the crowd invested in the Amisori's comeback. I still think it's going to be just another great match, but I'm going to say Konami does retain.
And then finally, obviously, Saya Kamitani versus Starlight Kid. Kid has a miserable record against Saya Kamitani, only winning one of their 5 singles matches. Saya 4-1 against Kid. Kid hasn't beaten Saya Kamitani in singles action since 2022. We sort of delved into this match a little bit anyway. One point we didn't say is that you have got All Star Grand Queendom coming up in Yokohama Arena, where Taro Okada has been very vocal about him wanting to draw 10,000 people there. You need Saya Kamitani on top to do that. In my humble opinion, Kid is great, and I see her as a future Red Belt champion without a shadow of a doubt. Potentially the face we have been crying out for to sort of dethrone Saya Kamitani down the road. I don't think it happens here when you have got All-Star Grand Queendom down the line. And I see Saya Kamitani retaining here. Kid will put up a great fight. The match will be fantastic. Again, look at the 2024, if you can find it, because he's randomly disappeared off Stardom World, the 2024 5-star Grand Prix match. But again, I think Saya Kamitani wins the belt or stays the champion and will go into All-Star Grand Queendom as the champion, where she'll probably face Micah.
Yeah, not unless they have Kamitani chasing. But at the same time, kind of just thinking about it is Kamitani may drop it to Micah at Dream Queendom, and then she chases Micah to Sumo Hall at the end of this year.
I think if they do that, Saya Kamitani wins the 5-star.
Wins the 5-star.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, if you look at this, there's so many different ways that I've been looking at this, right? And again, I'm going to say that Kamitani is going to retain. But again, with that angle they did in Korakuen Hall, maybe TLD, Rob, 30 minutes, these two, and then you bring it back somewhere where you heat up Starlight Kid, maybe getting some wins, maybe something in the summertime. I don't know. Again, I'm intrigued. I mentioned this with the Azumi versus Kamitani championship match. Azumi set up that match by beating Kamitani on that playoff show in the 5-star Grand Prix. And I'm like, that match was great. Is there any way that Azumi and Saya, when they run it back for the red belt in the same venue, can it be better? And I'm like, it kind of has to be, because for the red belt, Azumi's never challenged for the red belt. Yes, moving forward in the 5-star Grand Prix is great. Ultimately, the red belt, the World of Stardom Championship, is the most important prize in all of Stardom, in my opinion, in all of wrestling. So here it is, Starlight Kid, I'm a massive fan of. Her 3 best matches, in my opinion, are number 1 versus Kamitani for the white belt back in summer 2022. Not the number 2 for me. The silver medal is the Natsupoi match where Kid wins the white belt back at Dream Queendom 2024. And number 3 for me is that playoff match against Saya Kamitani. So again, I've seen every Starlight Kid match since 2021, and even a lot of the back catalog from there. 2 of her top 3 matches, in my opinion, are against Saya Kamitani. Can this match be better? It kind of has to, because it's Starlight Kid's first shot at the red belt, the World of Stardom Championship, and she's across the ring with somebody that she has phenomenal chemistry with. So again, very much like when they had that Azumi versus Saya Kamitani match back at the summer last year, I'm like, there's no way this match could be better. It should be, because it's for the red belt. But how are they going to be able to beat what they did in Korakuen Hall the month before? And they did it, in my opinion. This pressure's on for Starlight Kid to put on the best performance of her career, because again, it's her first red belt match, wrestling the biggest ticket draw in Stardom's 15th history, the MVP in all of Japanese wrestling last year, in Saya Kamitani, in a building that they're going to try to draw somewhere around 3,000 people, give or take. I think this match is going to be incredible. I think these two are going to tell a great story. Ultimately, it's going to be Saya Kamitani getting the win. But again, Rob, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse. What they did in Korakuen Hall is really intriguing, because I can see maybe Starlight Kid getting the upset and Saya Kamitani has to chase her to Yokohama. I can see this maybe going 30 minutes, and then, that really puts Starlight Kid another level. But I think just because of how great of a wrestler Saya Kamitani is, and we saw this all throughout her run in 2022 and 2023 as Wonder of Stardom champion, even though she retained the belt, every single one of those matches, her opponent came out better. Unagi came out better. Natsupoi came out better. Micah, Himika, even Kairi, all those wrestlers came out better, even though they didn't walk out with the belt. So regardless of what happens in this match, Starlight Kid's going to come out somehow better, because she's in the ring with main event level Kamitani. I see Kamitani retaining, but I can slightly see Starlight Kid winning the belt here. Maybe I'm starting to lean towards a little more time limit draw, because we haven't seen it before. very much like the build up, like we just talked about. We haven't seen the baby face on the down, especially the way Starlight Kid did with the mask off. So they changed the formula. Maybe we see the first Saya Kamitani red belt time limit draw at this one. Because again, I don't think this is the end by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is the beginning of a new story between Saya and Starlight Kid. So my official prediction is Kamitani red belt or Kamitani retain. And I wouldn't be shocked for old TLD. And I wouldn't be upset with these two wrestling 30 minutes either, partner.
Couple of things just to piggyback on the back of that before we go into Io and Kairi watch. It is worth pointing out that a win here for Saya Kamitani draws her joint fourth in terms of all-time successful title defenses with the belt, drawing a level with, of all people, Utami Hayashishita. She has now crossed into 401 days as red belt champion and is just 8 days behind Utami's record, which would take her into fourth behind Nanae and Io Shirai's 2 reigns with the belt. I do just want to point out, you mentioned that 30-minute time limit draw, and this is the last thing I'll say before we move on because we have spent a lot of time on this match. You look at how Io's second reign ended. She lost to Mayu, but she had a 30-minute time limit draw against Toni Storm before it because she was beat up. Now, obviously, she did sustain an actual neck injury. However, the storyline was that Io was beat up and was exhausted from this title reign and performing at that level. Maybe you are paralleling that with Saya Kamitani's run. Obviously, we've just seen her take a small amount of time off. Maybe she goes the 30 minutes with Starlight Kid and then drops the belt to Micah at Yokohama in the same way that Io Shirai went the 30 minutes with Toni Storm, then dropped the belt to Mayu Iwatani at Galaxy Stars. Now, again, you could play that line of, wrestling at that level for that length of time. It's going to take it out of you no matter who you are. And again, you can then have Saya Kamitani chase for the rest of the year, then have a win it back, I think, at Dream Queendom. But that is certainly a pathway you could go down.
One last question, but because I know you want to move on from this. So you're doing parallels with Tony, Mayu, and Io with all this. So do you think in 4 or 5 years, Starlight Kid becomes a black and white movie actor gimmick? Do you think that's the way they go with it? Okay.
I think you almost have to at this point. I think you almost have to.
Starlight Kid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's just there in pictures with Elvis Presley and Chuck Norris and all these photos. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, obviously our review will be up next week, and we'll be talking about the New Blood shows as well. The preview, the written preview, will be up on worldofjoshi.com on Thursday as well. But Matt, before we go, obviously it is the rumbliest time of the year. A very quick Io and Kairi watch this week, but good sir, do tell us about their exploits in Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely. We go to Saudi Arabia. We both have Io and Kairi in the Rumble. Io does come out first. We get some exchanges with her and Julia. That was nice. We do have Michael Cole, and then we have some exchanges with Asuka as well. Michael Cole puts over about how they wrestled in Stardom and Pro Wrestling Wave.
Pro Wrestling Wave being announced on WWE. Who had that on their bingo card?
Didn't know. Michael Cole has been doing a great job putting over Io, Kairi, and Julia about their time in Stardom briefly, which is cool getting a Stardom reference on the biggest wrestling company on planet Earth. Some great stuff with Io and Rhea at doing some teamwork as well. They are obviously the tag team champions. Then Kairi comes in and she lasts all of about 70 seconds in this Rumble. Asuka almost gets eliminated over the top rope. We get a cool little sequence with Io and Kairi. Kairi goes for the sliding D onto Io. Io moves out of the way. Kairi accidentally hits Asuka. Kairi can't believe it. Io then dumps out one Kairi. So now we're back to Kairi and Asuka not getting along. Kairi afraid of Asuka. Seemed like they kind of went away from there, but now we're bringing it back as we're getting close to WrestleMania season. Maybe that's where they're going. Io, as great as she is, she's the genius of this guy. I didn't like the way she was eliminated. She literally is doing a knee bar into Lash Legend, holding on to Lash's leg, and that's it. And I'm like, this makes no sense because if Io pulls Lash out, which is what she's going for, she's going to get eliminated. And if Lash just lets go, she's going to get eliminated either way. I thought they could have came up with a better way to eliminate Io. per the basically what everybody saw, Liv Morgan did win the Rumble, which was a really great closing sequence. However, on my scorecard, I have Io winning. I don't know if that means anything, but my scorecard, Io won the Rumble. I might be the only one. Ultimately, though, a really great showing for Io in the Rumble. Interesting to see what Io is going to do on the way to WrestleMania. Maybe a three-way with Io, Kyrie, and Asuka might be the way they go, kind of with like who's going to get control of Kyrie. Maybe a Kyrie on a pole match or Kyrie on a ship match. Rob, maybe that's the way they go with it. Ultimately, though, we are on the way to WrestleMania, and some interesting things are afoot in the world of one Io and Kyrie.
And ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of this episode of the Stardom Cast. Thank you so much for listening. Again, we will be back next week with our review of Supreme Fight in Osaka. We hope you enjoy the show. We know we will. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We are everywhere. Leave us a review and a comment as well. It really does help the podcast out and gets us in front of more eyes to spread the word of Joshi. Patreon.com/World of Joshi for all of these episodes ad free. You can also find us on social media at WOJ Wrestling, and you can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Or you can get a hold of me on my new email, matt@worldofjoshi.com. Folks, I know people were worried. It is still there. You can also email me on the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Very easy to get a hold of. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when we're all together, everybody's different, everybody's special.